way, you know, you have to believe that you're the best driver out there. That's the only way that you get to the top.
How does it feel for you to have a livery in-game? People are going to be able to play.
It can be like really personal, right? And attention to detail. And yeah, it's really cool that people can drive cars that are not just the standard liveries of the team or whatever,
Right.
and relate a little bit more as a person to a certain livery.
I have these lines that are called like polymorphs. They represent life and existence and vibration. I'm really excited to tell your story and integrate it into my style.
I guess it's important to choose the base color.
Of course, I'd love to hear colors that you vibrate
My favorite
with.
color is blue.
Okay, so like a navy, something like that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just to be the best, I had to go
The stripes as well is quite cool.
Definitely, yeah, definitely a lot of racing stripes.
If they had a doubt, they gon' see what
I quite like this in the back as well, because I like to have triangles.
Nice.
You can catch us at the
I think it's great to mention the three-time world champion. Should we maybe do something with the stars?
Yeah, so I put them on basically the back of my helmet to showcase the titles won.
So I think that's perfect to kind of interlace all different moments of your career and your passions and things that you like and bring it all together.
I'm happy with that.
It's awesome.
I'm a champion. I'm a champion, I can't lose. I'm a champion. I'm a champion, I can't lose. I'm a champion.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome back to the F1 Creator Series on an evening that could spell catastrophe for Team Atmodic's championship hopes, but on the flip side, he could walk out with his aces held high. We head to Las Vegas for not the final round, not the penultimate round, but round 9 of the Creator Series Championship here in season number 8. And we are so looking forward to it. My name's Tom Knight, and alongside me to help take you through the next few hours of racing action is the wonderful Tom Wilkinson. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. This could be a momentous moment in the Creator Series legend. We could potentially be seeing our first multiple Creator Series champion in Team Atmodic. Stay tuned for that in a few hours' time.
Certainly can do indeed. Over 7 seasons, we've never had a driver accomplish more than just one Drivers' Championship, and of course Ben can achieve that should he score the required points here this afternoon. But hey, that's all still to play for. We've got a couple of other twists coming your way in just the next few moments, and who knows, might even have a special little guest asking Team Atmodic, does he indeed have damage? But for the time being, let's go ahead and have a look at how our standings check out as we head into this round. It will be Team Atmodic, of course, that tops our standings, 155 points to his name. Araguri and Noguera, 2 drivers still in the championship hope, 104 and 102 points to their name respectively. GB68 jumps up the rankings after his first ever win last week out in Baku, finding himself in P4. And then Meraki, Alex Gillen, Razin Chai, Hayden Gullis, Safso and Lolly Noba round out your top 10. And for the teams, well, let's go have a look at them as well.
And it is runaway leaders once again. McLaren, Team Atmodic doing some very heavy lifting though, but Mercedes and Aston Martin in particular making some waves recently, but that gap from 2nd down to 10th placed Alpine, very, very close indeed. You can bet your bottom dollar that this current championship standings that we've got in 3 races time, we will not have this order.
Certainly can indeed. Of course, well, we say 3 races time. Let's go a little bit early to our wildcard for this afternoon. We're mixing things up. We're adding, technically, an additional race into the standings. We go to a short qualifying in the next few moments' time, and then instead of our traditional 100% big feature race, we're splitting that in half. It's 2 50% races, reverse grid for the second round. But more importantly, Tom, and this is the bombshell moment, both races count for full points.
Whoa, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Team Atmodic, if he wins the first race, he's not quite out of the water because he will be starting last. That's going to make life very, very difficult. We have had a couple of reverse grid races in the Creator Series. If you remember back to Brazil a few weeks ago, Team Atmodic qualifying on pole position, thrown to the back of the grid, and by about that 5 or 6, he was already in the podium places.
Certainly was. He's one that is well versed with pulling his way through the pack, and I think at Vegas, with the extremely long straight between turns 12 and turns 14, he's got a great opportunity to try and pull some moves, but standing in his way not only will be Nogueira and El Guri, but I have a very strong suspicion, quite possibly Alex Gillen as well. So we'll see how it goes with qualifying in the next few moments as well. But before we head into our qualifying session, you too can hop on to F1 24. We are free, or it is free to play this weekend through to the 25th if you're on Steam as well. And of course, if you do enjoy what you do, or do enjoy what you see, it's 60% off for both the Champions and the Standard Edition.
Absolutely, yeah. You can look at the links down below, the streams on the various platforms, and you can check out those discounts. Some brilliant new features this year, the brand new revolutionised career mode, new contract systems, you get your own driver rating, rivalries reworked as well. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Rivalries reworked. Get your hands on that one.
Certainly would. And as you saw, the new Max Verstappen livery coming in Season 4 with, let's just say, a challenge coming your way. You can relive the 2021 final round and you too can rewrite history. But, well, for the time being, speaking of history, let's go gambling in Las Vegas. We're moments away from getting started and heading in. And don't forget, you too can get involved in all of the live chats, whether that be on the Creator Series channels or whether that be on the EA Sports F1 channel on YouTube. Get your predictions in the chat down below. Who you think is going to be taking pole position here this evening?
Yeah, lot of drivers in the running. It's been potentially, I know we've got a runaway leader in the championship, but this has been one of the most competitive Creator Series seasons that we've had ever. Tim McMarlick has had exceptional consistency. That is why he is leading the championship by 50 odd points. But GB getting his first race win. Alex Gillen has shown flashes of Alex Gillen level performances, but hasn't been able to string together too many races. Sometimes it's not down to his own doing. El Guri, the reigning champion, coming back into a bit of form after a poor start to the season as well. Everything is up in the air. Lots of potential cards being laid down on the table.
Certainly is. You spoke about Alex Gillen, maybe the troubles he's faced this season. I mean, we spoke so highly of GB getting his first ever race win last time out. We forgot to mention it's actually his first podium he's managed to get this season. Alex Gillen finishing second out in Baku. First time he's finished on the podium all this season. But we've got a lot of stats, we've got a lot of things to talk about. And one thing we haven't actually mentioned yet, Tom, is, well, we've got a special guest in the building. We
do. Someone that is very familiar to the F1 gaming scene, been around for quite a while. And I think you'll be very familiar with who they are. The P1 boys joining us, Matty and Tommy jumping in for today. Matty doing the driving, Tommy doing the engineering. Not an enviable job doing the engineering, I have to say, for Mr. Bellingham there, because if something goes wrong, the engineer can get a little bit of chop in the ear.
Exactly can. Well, it certainly can. I think there is going to be a lot of chaos and confusion. 18 minutes start on our qualifying clock. As you can see to our right-hand side, all the drivers will have the same opportunity to try and get pole position here this afternoon. And don't forget, that intermediate pole position still becomes and gains that extra point. So we'll wait and see who manages to pick that out. And what can Matty P1 do? As you can see in P3 on your screens at the moment. Can he come in? Can he cause carnage? Oh, and the question is, how is he going to fare in a race amongst our creators?
100%, yeah. Thrown very much in the deep end at one of the hardest circuits. Have a bit of history with Matty. Let's try and not crash. Well, got to be careful going into the pit lane, these pair. If you can remember back to that, then I rate you very, very highly. For people that are confused why everybody is going out on the intermediate tyres, in the first 6 minutes of this qualifying session, the driver that sets the fastest lap on those green stripe intermediates will gain 1 extra championship point.
It certainly will, and as we've seen over the course of the season, 1 point can sometimes be the differential that a driver will need to gain an extra place. And oh, look at this, we've got a new feature on the broadcast here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a stat and an insight to Mr. Razin Chai. Pole position, of course, last week out in Baku. That makes him the driver that holds the pole record here in the F1 Creator Series. 15 to his name. The other driver just behind him only holds 14. If memory serves me correctly, I can't remember who that is.
I think that is, I believe that is Skyzy, who is obviously no longer part of the Creator Series. But yeah, Razin, former champion, one of the big names in the series, and I'll be hoping to try and get some consistency going. He's another driver that's had some very good peaks this season. Started off with 2 wins in the opening 3 rounds, but the performance has tailed off a little bit since then.
It certainly has. It hasn't been the start to the season. Well, it was the start to the season that he would have absolutely loved, of course, winning the feature race out in Singapore, won the race again for the Fan Vote Grand Prix in round 3. But as you said, results after that have been rather dwindling. P10 in Mexico in the sprint there, DNF in China, so he's got something to try and come back for. Of course, he did get pole and fastest lap last week in Baku.
He did, but wasn't able to convert it into the win, of course, because that was a legendary moment as GB68 finally exited the donut shop, getting off 0 race wins and getting his first one on the board. Could we see the floodgates open for GB, though? He's been incredibly quick this season. Probably could have won 4 or 5 races, potentially. A bit of the Lando Norris syndrome, if you will. Could he go back to back? Could he make a late championship charge? We'll have to wait and see.
That would be absolutely fascinating. The only driver to go back-to-back in race wins this season, you could probably guess it is El Guri. Went back-to-back in Brazil and China, 25 points shining next to his name on the standings. Of course, didn't have the best race out in Baku. Couldn't even finish on the podium in Team Marduk's absence. But we are well and truly into qualifying here. Laps will be starting to fly. Razin Chai will be leading us away as he runs down towards turns 14, 15 and 16. Pretty much the last braking zone on this circuit before the run up towards the line.
Absolutely, yeah. This little complex is going to be very difficult, especially with how high those curbs are. You can see the Aston Martin just behind the Scarlet Red Ferrari, getting it a little bit wrong. But Razin Chai pulling gears up to the line through the flat turn number 17 to cut the beam. This will be the time for everybody to chase on the green striped intermediate tyres. It is a 33.5, and GB, most recent race winner in the Creator Series, is a couple of tenths quicker.
Certainly is indeed. Great start for the qualifying session as we run through this session. We got 13 minutes and 47 seconds left on our clock, and Punju goes quickest, but that is on the soft tyre. So now we play the guessing game of who's set their lap on what tyre, as our producer lovingly puts it up on the screens. El Guri not wasting any time, going fastest on a set of the soft tyres, a 130.697 to the Red Bull racing car. Alex Gillen, some stats to his name, only 1 DNF in 46 race starts. Absolutely incredibly impressive for the Kick Sauber.
Yeah, especially when you look at that podium record. Tim Marduk has slotted just 0.04 of a second ahead of his old sparring partner, Alex Gillen, on the intermediate tyres. Still, it is GB holding intermediate pole. Good lap from Bushiance, couple of tenths down just behind Razin Chai. Mr. Dale a little bit adrift of the pace on those green stripe tyres. It is the reigning champion, El Guri, 8 tenths clear of Punju at this stage.
Certainly is indeed. Drivers will be setting their laps, of course. Bevan Duttler, also known as Adam Sanderson, up towards the line in the Aston Martin. Stepping in for that guy Vince this weekend. He sets the second fastest time overall on a set of softs. 45 seconds to go in our intermediate challenge. And I'm not sure if anybody further down. I think it is Dark Viper going for the intermediate time. We'll keep an eye and see what they can set as they make their way through. He's on soft tyres. Ignore me completely then, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't look like anybody else is going for the intermediate pole, so unless there is a last-ditch attempt, and maybe, well, it's probably a little bit too late for a last-ditch attempt, and GB almost certainly getting that bonus point for the championship, which he can't necessarily win anymore.
Another point, though, racking them up is the Green Machine, and we'll take that very, very nicely with 10 seconds left to go, unless somebody like Tim Marduk or Bushiance is going for a second lap on those inters, which would be unwise, considering the tyre temperatures are going to be screaming by the time you get round to finish that second lap. It is going to be GB68 who takes that intermediate pole.
Certainly is indeed. Fantastic stuff for GB68. Another one to add to his stat sheet and be able to take his way through as an extra bonus point. We can tell you exactly how many intermediate fastest laps that makes it, and I think it adds it up to 4.
Yeah, decent chunk. Usually it's Meraki that's the king of the intermediate pole positions, but he didn't elect to go for it.
Yep, he has got a job to do. 11 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock at the moment. An almighty tow for Nogueira there from one of the Kick Saubers coming down towards the line. That'll be Matty D providing the tow as his teammate Alex Gillen is indeed in the pit lane. Yellow flags further back. Won't be too concerned about that one. But Nogueira, of course, still in within a minute chance of the championship. He will be looking to try and elevate as many points he can out of Vegas this weekend.
100%, yeah. What is this going to be comparing to the reigning champion, El Guri? Over the line, he's just over a tenth of a second quicker. And it is the silver arrow of Nogueira leading us away from the Red Bull. And then that 6/10 gap back to Devon Butler in third, Adam Sanderson. Matty P1 slotting into fourth on a 31.2. Decent start for the Scarlet car. Yep,
fantastic start for himself. I think we saw a little bit of his practice earlier. He was maybe participating against Alex Gillen and Tim McMardick, to name a couple of drivers, and he was looking rather quick in terms of quali pace. How that translates to race pace, we are yet to see, because of course drivers will sometimes have a fantastic qualifying but not necessarily have the best race, and there's confirmation of the wildcard in play this weekend, aptly named Double Down, as we are here in Vegas. Short qualifying, 50% race, and then another 50% race with a reverse grid, both of those awarding full points.
Oh, we've got a yellow flag in the final sector. I think that is just for a Haas backing up as they're beginning to start a flying lap. I believe, well, I'm not sure who that's going to be. It is Dragonflies over the line. 37.6. What a lap there from the Haas driver. This is Meraki, another former champion as part of the field. What is this Williams going to do? Up to the line, and it is fastest by nearly 0.2 of a second. Meraki laying down the gauntlet, 30.4.
Fantastic lap from the Williams driver. His 80th race appearance in the F1 Create Series. Can he make it his 10th pole over the course of his career? I have a feeling there'll be a lot of drivers out for blood behind him, looking to try and take away that infamous pole position. One of those will be Tom, out on his outlap at the moment, making his way through the third and final sector, down towards turn 14 once again. He has got one of the Haas cars behind him, but I don't think he's going to be feeling the pressure in their home Grand Prix.
You wouldn't think so, would you? And it's been quite a while since Tom last won a race. Obviously, the Season 3 champion driving in that Alpine car. Over 300 days since we last see him top the timing charts and pick up a race victory. So will this be the opportunity for him? Will this be the night under the lights in Las Vegas where he can get another victory under his belt?
I think he'd certainly be hoping so. Of course, what a big occasion to be able to get a race win in Vegas. Only the second time the F1 Creator Series has made its way to the hollowed streets of Nevada. And we have got 8 minutes and 50 seconds left. Lots of yellow flags flying amongst our circuit tonight, as we have got pretty much every driver, bar 3, out on either an outlap or a hot lap because of the time restraints that they are currently facing.
100%, yeah. And you would imagine when we get to the business end of this qualifying session, things could get quite congested, especially going down into that little complex of 14, 15 and 16 drivers trying to back up, maybe make a little bit of space. Although the slipstream could help them at certain points on the circuit. We'll have to wait and see how individual drivers manage that situation when we get there. We are getting some reports of potential rain as well.
Yeah, I was hearing this. A couple of drivers are reporting it later on, which could explain why so many drivers are heading out nice and early. Drivers are setting their lap times, maybe in preparation that rain does fall, of course, even though it is a desert here in Nevada and Las Vegas. Sometimes they do see rain, and when it does rain, it rains heavily on our drivers. I don't think anybody wants to try and tackle these streets in full wet conditions. Tom's over the team radio. Oh my goodness, it's raining. Well, there it comes. The rain does fall and the track becomes even more slippery.
And Tim McMardick, championship leader, down there in 17th, hasn't got a lap in on the dry compound tyres. Tom can only go 11th fastest. Matty's been in the wars, the Ferrari with a bit of front wing damage there, and that is some substantial rain. Tim McMardick is going to be in big trouble here because he's 18th.
He is. It's not what he'd like to see, whereas his championship contenders, both Nogueira and El Reguri, up in second and fourth respectively. He's got an almighty mountain to climb, unless he can go quicker. Rounds the final corner.
Wow.
It's not quick enough. It's only 16th.
That is bad news indeed. El Reguri's main championship rival up there in fourth, Nogueira in second. Alex Gillen, Raz and Chai GB, they all managed to get their laps in before the rain came down, and it is the Papaya McLaren that's come a cropper.
Yep, and well, I don't know if anybody saw that just at the top of your screens, that Hayden Gullis, who was ahead of Team McMardick and given Team McMardick a free space, has been disqualified from our qualifying session, going the wrong way. And if anybody knows Hayden, we've watched the F1 Create Series before, it's not unlike himself to either go backwards or reverse in qualifying. He likes to add a little bit of spice to these sessions.
Most definitely, yes. He likes to create his own qualifying wildcards alongside the ones that we provide the drivers weekly, but with 6.5 minutes to go, I doubt we're going to be seeing too many improvements, especially if the rain continues to fall. Duncan deciding he's had enough, holding down 10th place, and it looks like Meraki is going to be picking up a pole position.
Yep, certainly will. Rain's falling, drivers are not setting laps on the slick tyres anymore, and DRS becoming disabled. I think unless anybody can pull a miracle out of a bag, Meraki secures pole position number 10 here in the Create Series. What an apt place to do it on his 80th race appearance. That makes it a 1 in 8 for every appearance that he's had. Sorry, every 8 appearances that he has. He manages to find the top of the qualifying times.
Most definitely. It's a track that traditionally Meraki has done pretty well at. It was very quick here in 2023 when it first came onto the F1 game, continuing that form nicely into this race on F1 24. He'll be delighted to start from pole position because it's not necessarily been the season he would have liked. Had some highs, had quite a lot of lows in there as well. So to return to the front row of the grid, to return to pole position, a good effort there from the Williams.
Yeah, fantastic effort. I think he'll be pleased to be able to start from the front. And of course, if he can manage to convert that pole position into a race win, he'll be starting, at the back of the second race. So it is a bit of push and shove. Full points for both, so you don't want to necessarily prioritise one over the other. It is going to be a game of balance for a lot of our drivers here. But speaking about history very quickly, looking back to the last time he came to Las Vegas, Alex Gillen, well, top of the trophy stands. He won the race back in Season 7, round number 10. Ray Gurry, of course, challenging for the championship this season. He finished P2, and GB68 P3 as well. Team Mark of the team radio. What was that, Punju? That messed me up. Well, battle amongst the teammates by the looks of things.
I wonder if he got held in the pits maybe when he was coming back in to get rid of his intermediate tyres, and that would have cost Ben maybe 30 seconds, and those were the 30 seconds that he was missing to try and get that lap in. So yeah, not being helped out particularly by his teammate Punju. There's 7 positions between them, but it's teammate Marduk on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, unfortunate for teammate Marduk, and he will be starting down in P15. There are drivers still on outlap, still attempting to go for runs on the intermediate tyres, but with that almighty back straight between 12 and 14, DRS being disabled, they just can't get the straight line speed down there.
No, it's going to be difficult to try and work your way back through, you would imagine. Nice little toe here for Saf. So it is going to be an RB locking out the back rows. We've seen a number of times this season with Hayden Gullis doing either laps in reverse or laps upside down, potentially at some point when he drives into a couple of drivers in Saf. So sometimes when he has tried to qualify, it hasn't worked out brilliantly for him. But yeah, going to be starting 19th again here.
Yeah, it hasn't always worked out the best for Saf. So I think if there was an award for the man with the worst luck in the F1 Create Series, it would be handed to Safso, and then unfortunately taken away from him at the last moment, because that is how unfortunate he has been over the course of the season. But it is looking to try and at least set a lap, maybe just try and get a feel for the conditions if the race does continue, or if the race does become wet at any point over the two 50% races. 25 laps apiece, lots of time for carnage and chaos here, Tom.
Yeah, it's interesting for Saf. So maybe he knows something that we don't. It's going to have either rain in the first race or potentially in the second race. We don't know that thus far, but if he's getting some laps in early, that could bode well for Safso.
It certainly could, and that's what I think a few drivers are doing. If they are expecting rain in the race, but obviously it's not often that you get rain coming through in Nevada, in the desert, so maybe just taking the opportunity to try and benefit from that extra couple of runs. We have got Punju in for a quick chat, and let's see what he can tell us about the situation with Team Marduk. Punju, first of all, welcome in. What happened with Ben? We saw him a little bit frustrated over the team radio.
He's in the mud. No, just kidding. I accidentally very poorly timed the pit box and made him stick and stay for a long time for his second run. So he just didn't get a second run. Whoopsies.
That is unfortunate from yourself, but you're starting above your teammate at the moment. He's fighting for the overall championship. Are we going to see maybe some team order, some teamwork coming in, either in race 1 or race 2?
Well, I see Alex Gillen is in 6th, right? And El Rey's in 4th, and Jake's in the lead. So those are kind of the ones that I'm just trying to go see if I can somehow get lucky and jet up to fight them off a little bit and slow them down and let them then just blast by and go get it. So yeah, that's my style of team orders, is go and attack.
Fair enough. I think that sounds like a very solid plan, and as much as you want to help your teammate out, if there becomes a race win on the cards, are you taking that opportunity?
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. But if it's like 3rd or worse, yeah, take it, But yeah, no, for sure. No way would I let that up. I'm so mad that Adam outqualified me by 1,000th of a second. I should have been in front of him, but yeah, I'll go for the race win if somehow it happens. Never know.
Amazing. Well, best of luck to you, and we look forward to seeing Punju up towards the top of the timing charts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, buddy. Wow, strong words from Punju there, saying that if he was 3rd or below, he's letting his teammate pass, but anything above that, he's going for the race win.
3rd's an interesting one, because Punju and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, of course, but not a regular feature on the podium in the F1 Creator Series. So I'm surprised that he would be willing to give a podium up to Tim at Bartlett. Fourth down, I can understand that, but yeah, maybe a little bit of pride coming into it for the driver currently holding and will continue to hold 8th place.
Yeah, I don't think... well, I think that's probably more selflessness from Punju there. He's actually never been on the podium in the F1 Creator Series. And speaking of, let's just say, history once again, Tom hasn't won a race in 315 days. His longest stint without a win in the Creator Series career. I think, as you mentioned earlier as well. So he's got a lot to prove tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think mainly this game on F1 24, we haven't seen the best of Tom. We've seen it in flashes. I remember Monaco, the very first race we did on F1 24. He was very, very quick, but just got the strategy a little bit wrong as he drifts beautifully there through the first sector. 11th on the grid, are we disappointed with that? He got the timing wrong in qualifying again as well. So Tom's got a lot to answer for, I think.
He does. He has those good days. He has those bad days as he almost Austin powers it across the middle of the Las Vegas circuit. Fortunately manages to keep that Alpine moving as he made his way through turn number 5. But as you said, I think he's got a lot of potential in him. We've seen flashes of victory and flashes of fantastic moments from Tom. But also I think the consistency has been lacking time in, time out.
Well, he's a former champion. Let's not forget that, beating Tim at Marduk in a straight fight in season number 3. So the pedigree is obviously there for Tom, but just unable to get it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate run in the last few seasons. I hope to see Tom back in his former glory over the next few races, or potentially heading into the new season. But we have got the checkered flag flying here in Vegas. Matty will come across the line, albeit not to set a faster lap time. But P9 is a very respectable place to be starting for your first race in the F1 Creator Series.
Yeah, thrown in the deep end and doing a very, very commendable job. Only half a second down on his teammate Razin Chai, who is very, very quick indeed. So thumbs up, good start for Matty, and hopefully Tommy's going to be giving him some praise as well, because that's a solid effort. Yeah,
fantastic stuff. I mean, he's only 6 positions off of a podium here over 25 laps. This man could do in one race what Infratic couldn't do over 82 appearances. There is a lot to do.
He's, well, I think the thing that he'll be delighted about most is the fact that he's out-qualified Tim at Marduk by 6 places and by 9/10 of a second.
Yeah, I don't see there being any jousting or maybe, well, what's the word for it? Emotional mind games going on between the two of them. He's not going to let Ben get in his head, as I think that's quite a famous rivalry between the two of them.
Yes, indeed. I wonder if there was any psychological damage done there for Ben qualifying down in P15 with a lot of his rivals towards the sharp end. But it's Meraki on pole, Jake hitting the jackpot early on here in Las Vegas. And I think he'll be very, very pleased with that. Nogueira, though, once again in qualifying, doing a very good job as well to start on the front row alongside that beautiful blue Williams car.
Yep, certainly was. And well, what a better time than now to speak to our pole sitter, Meraki, see if he wants to come in for a bit of a chat. Hopefully he will undeafen and have a little bit of a chat with us. He is still deafened. Meraki, there we go. Funny in and undeafened. Talk us through what it feels like to get your 10th pole position on your 80th race appearance.
That ratio is not great, is it?
It's better than some.
But, yeah, no, honestly, I left it really late going out to do my inters lap. And I realised, hang on, it's going to start raining soon. So I literally came back in on my out lap for my inters lap. And as I finished my soft lap, it started raining, so it was like the perfect decision. So yeah, it was good.
I want to quickly ask as well, how are you feeling going into this race? Because Las Vegas in the past is a track that has suited you quite well. I think you've mentioned before as well, you like the circuit. Are you expecting big things over the course of these next couple of races?
See, we'll see. Honestly, like it's a really cool format that we've got today. So obviously there's 2 chances to get 25 points. So I'm going to try and get 25 points in both. But if I can't, then it is what it is. But I think we're going to see some DRS tactics on show in both races, regardless.
I think we are going to see quite a few DRS tactics, especially if it stays dry. I think we are hearing potentially a few rumours that there may be rain in some of the races as well. But who knows? We'll see as it comes to it. What would be your dream sort of weather here? Are you hoping that it stays dry?
I mean, it's definitely going to rain. It's definitely going to rain. I just don't know what I'm doing with my fuel right now, so I'm going to leave it like that.
Amazing.
So here we are.
Well, we'll leave you to it to get your setup and strategy sorted. And well, I'm sure we'll talk to you a little bit later on as well, mate.
Yes, sir. All right.
And that charge down the first lap's going to be very, very exciting, I have to say. Tiamat Marduk trying to fight his way through. How is Matty going to cope being in the thick of it in the midfield action? Razin coming through from P5. I think that second Ferrari is as well. All to play for, I think.
It certainly is. It's got a lot to try and contend with. Apologies for the folks at home if there was a brief moment without audio there. I'm going to say it's not our fault. Blame Discord. Blame Discord, because it likes having there when we're sharing everything on the screens. But I can confirm we're on the formation lap. We're getting ready to go racing, and it is Meraki that will lead us away. It is a split choice.
Slightly less useful. I think the soft medium strategy is much more reliable, much more applicable for a lot of our drivers. Be interesting to see, because if you watch the Formula 2 races that we do, as I think, are we having some more audio issues? Hopefully we're back there. Continuing with what I was going to try and say though, if you watch Formula 2, the strategy usually is start on the harder compound and finish strong on the softer tyres. Will that translate into Formula 1? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm sure we will wait and see. Dragonflies, Dark Viper and Alex Gillen unfortunately getting disqualified. They'll start on the grid with completely cold tyres, heading gullus, taking it nice and casually relaxed at the back of the grid. I think that is a Red Bull racing car there as well. So my assumption would be Mr. Dale. I think there's actually a back three going on with a little bit of chaos, but we'll keep an eye on the top at the moment. And well, to quote one Mr. X Matty G, Tom, it's race time.
It most certainly is. Keep your eyes out for Razin Chai and Alex Gillen on the opening lap. Yes, Alex is going to have ice-cold soft compound tyres, but at the end of the day, they are soft compound tyres. He's going to have a lot more grip than the mediums in these early stages. I wouldn't be surprised as well if we see Razin nibbling at the heels of the likes of GB and El Reguri. I think Meraki, starting from pole position, has messed up his parking, though.
I think he has. It's not going to be the one. He has got disqualified and will be starting considerably further back, as did Sasso there. But more importantly, everybody is on the grid. The lights are lit here in Vegas. And for our creators, the lights go out and we go racing. Meraki pull away on the outside line. Nogueira in that championship fight. It's a run down towards turn number one. Meraki goes heavily defensive round the outside, tries GB68, and look at this. Who's coming through? It's El Reguri up to P2.
There was definitely contact there, though, between Alex Gillen and Nogueira. The Mercedes just getting bullied by the likes of GB and El Reguri, who charges through into second place. The Mercedes holding fifth at the moment. Alex Gillen potentially at the mercy of Punju in that McLaren, but he runs into the rear of the Mercedes, locking the rears of the Ferrari. Into the wall goes GB.
Oh, I don't know if the Aston Martin's got damage there. I'm sure we'll be able to check on that. But it hasn't been the race start that Alex Gillen would have liked, battling for P8 at the moment, as the Aston Martin and the Mercedes of Nogueira and Devon Butler going wheel to wheel there. GB trying to stick his wing in, and Matty pipping out Pondon down for P13 as well. Gillen now on the comeback from GB, the reverse of what we saw last week in Baku. And these two, I think, are going to go wheel to wheel considerably into turn number 12. Heavy braking zone for the left turn.
Was that a little bit of damage? Yes, it is. Left end plate damage for the Aston Martin of GB is going to make him absolutely rapid in a straight line, though. So Alex Gillen not going to be particularly pleased to see that. He's now got Duncan to deal with in that Haas car in the battle for 8th and 9th. Tiamat Marduk has got ahead of the Ferrari of Matty P1. That McLaren's going to be delighted about that. But it's Meraki still leading the way, 3/10 clear of El Reguri. Razin up into third. Punju up 4 places to P4.
Yep, it certainly is indeed. And look further back, though, it's a battle between Tiamat Marduk and Matty, P12 and P13. This is the history books rewriting itself all over again. The McLaren finds himself ahead at the moment. Razin Chai early on the team radio. He's apologising to GB for that earlier contact, but Meraki will lead us across the line. Fastest lap, 1:39.2 for the Williams driver. Everybody else trying to pile through. And there we go, our very special guest in P13 at the moment, trying to chase down his very old rival of Tiamat Marduk.
Yeah, P13, unlucky for some, unlucky for Matty at the moment, because he started 9th, lost 4 places. Is that El Rey having a look up the inside down to turn number 5? Couldn't quite get that Red Bull far enough alongside. Razin Chai was very close to the back of the reigning champion as well. Alex Gillen still in 8th place behind GB. I tell you what, Nogueira is very lucky to still be in 6th, because that Mercedes was all over the place on the opening lap as Tiamat Marduk gets in between the two Hasses passing Dragonflies.
Certainly does indeed. Both Hasses, of course, split. 10th and 12th is where they currently stand. Tom, up 2 positions from where he started in P11 up to P9, so he'll be rather happy with an early run through. But Punja, of course, making some early waves up to P4 for himself. He's reaching that early stage where he said he might let Tiamat Marduk go come the end of one of the Grand Prix. But of course, that's a long way ahead. We've got at least 1 pit stop to go for all of our drivers, potentially even 2, as Team Modic pips out Duncan for P10, adding 2 cars to the deficit back to Matt Gallagher.
Not been the perfect start for Tim at Marlett, but I think he will certainly take it. That was Razin Chai moving out to the right-hand side of the circuit. Airray's going to try and go around the outside of Meraki. This can get very, very narrow. Big pinch point at the apex, but I think the reigning champion has executed that move absolutely perfectly, and it is Airray Guri taking the lead.
It is Airray taking the lead. To keep an eye, though, on Devon Butler. He thought about a move there down the inside of Punju in towards the final corner. And fastest laps being handed out a dime a dozen. GB sets it, though. The Mercedes going wheel to wheel down the inside of Devon Butler. Nogueira there trying to keep his championship hopes alive. And at the moment, it is the man in the Aston Martin, the shared power unit, that is keeping him from doing so.
I wonder if Gillen might have a little bit of damage as well, because the Season 2 champion also very, very slow on the previous lap. He's under pressure from Tom in the Alpine. Meraki almost running into the rear of Airray, down into turn number 5. Swapping places are the 2 former champions of Alex Gillen and Tom. We're going to have a look down to 5 though.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye down towards the corner. I think it is. Here we go. He dives deep, locks there is. And there's the contact with GB that puts him potentially into the wall and causes a 4-wide moment in that corner. That's not one that you want to have that many cars spread across the track. But Meraki still trying to chase down Airray Guri for the race lead. Razin Chai Punju and everybody else behind them still in contention. The bets are still on the table, ladies and the cards are only just being dealt.
100%. Tim McMarlick is only a couple of places off the back of Alex Gillen. Matty making places. He gets past Duncan for 12th position in that Scarlet Ferrari car. Who's going to be leading by the time we get down into turn number 14 though? Meraki moving out to the middle of the circuit. Airray not defending. Razin Chai wants a piece of the action as well. That Ferrari going up the inside. Lots of squabbling behind. Airray trying to hang it around the outside to hold on to second place. He doesn't want to drop behind the Ferrari and does not.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Razin will just have to concede for the moment. But interestingly enough, the 2 drivers that started on those softer tyres, Razin and Punju, really not making as many waves as they once would have liked. Of course, the softer tyre, the quicker tyre through a number of the corners. They haven't been able to get up to P2 and P1 respectively, but their time well and truly will come when they try and extend the tyre, maybe hold out until the mediums just start to fall off a slight bit of a cliff. They will be quicker over the first few laps as well. But Meraki still your race leader from pole position. This is going to be interesting.
Matty losing places, by the way, down in 14th, dropping behind Duncan and behind Dark Viper. Devon Butler having a look around the outside of Punji, who was a little bit deep into turn number 5, but can't force that Aston Martin anywhere near close enough to the McLaren car. The other Aston Martin of GB has managed to get ahead of Nogueira, who's still struggling potentially for tyre temperature. Tom now thinking about an opportunity up the inside, not a regulation overtaking position, left the space by the Mercedes, but he's going to have to drive on the exit to hold on for the time being.
Certainly will indeed. Tom trying to make moves. Team Armada, of course, up to P9 now, pipping out Gillen, which is something, if you'd looked a few seasons back or even in the last few weeks, you would have thought that would have ended in catastrophe, but it is a clean move for the Australian man in the Papaya McLaren, now trying to chase down Tom that stands in front of him in the Alpine that would have been all pink this weekend. But of course, Tom deciding to bring the traditional livery to the F1 Creator Series.
And here comes Tim McMarlick, absolutely flying, using a lot of his battery there. I think Tom now deploying it to try and get past the Mercedes of Nogueira, just holding off a little bit, and that is going to be to the detriment of the Mercedes up the inside, swooping ahead of that Mercedes car and getting up into 7th position. Alex Gillen still under pressure. Does that kick Sauber have damage? Because this is not the pace that I was expecting from Alex Gillen in this race.
That is going to be the age-old question. We're trying to keep an eye. Left front end plate certainly in place for the kick Sauber as he comes around the right-hander. Couldn't quite see it on that camera angle, but Tim Martin does pip out. Nogueira there. His championship hopes are still on the table. The Mercedes will have to settle for P9 for now, but Tim Martin knows where his rival stands. He's up in P2 in the Red Bull racing car. I think his friend Meraki might be doing him an almighty favour as we reach 1/5 race distance at the moment.
Ben absolutely flying there at the moment, from 15th on the grid to get up to 8th in the space of just 5 laps. That is very, very impressive from the championship leader and potentially the champion-elect, of course, if he can get enough points over the reigning champion Airray Guri and Nogueira, and he's already ahead of that Mercedes, who's continuing to struggle. I don't really know what it was, because the pace was very, very strong for Nogueira, but he just got bullied on the opening lap, and everything's just seemed to fall by the wayside ever since then.
Yeah, it's not been the best opening few laps for Nogueira. We quite often see moments of fantastic or moments of mystery from Nogueira. This hasn't been one of his races, maybe not too comfortable in the car this afternoon. Maybe it's just the track conditions that aren't to his favour. But as one of the people pointed out in the chat, just massive shout out to Devon Butler or Adam Sanderson, up in P4 at the moment, making almighty waves in that Aston Martin.
Punju starting to fall into the clutches of his teammate. He's been passed by both Aston Martin cars. GB potentially thinking about trying to go up the inside of his teammate, but thought better of it. Doesn't want to end up in a wall for the second time in this race. He holds station in 5th position. Meraki still leading the way from Elray and from Raz and Chai. When are those soft compound tyres on the Ferrari going to start to struggle, though? That's going to be the question for the driver of that Scarlet car.
Well, not only when are the tyres going to struggle, when is that rain coming? We spoke to Meraki just minutes ago. He obviously said the rain is well and truly coming in the race. So is it going to be a question that the softs can hold out till that rain starts to fall? Are the mediums going to have to go long even in that stint to try and hold on to the rainfall? Or are we going to see a series of pit stops and rain come in the final few laps? Stay tuned, folks, because this race, I think, is going to be nail-biting.
100%. Couple of early pit stops, by the way. Safso and Matty D13 in the RB and Kick Sauber, respectively, into the pits for a yellow set of medium compound tyres. The first 2 drivers to come in this race.
Interesting call from Matty and Safso there. Maybe there is damage on one of the cars, I'm not quite sure, but very early to come in for the softer runners. I'm sure we'll maybe trigger some of the other drivers on the softer side to come in early, but who knows? Everybody at the front of the grid seems to have their own race planned out at the moment. Mr. Dale all the way at the back trying to challenge Bushy Ants and Pondon as well. Sorry, not Pondon, Bushy Ants and Hayden Gullis just behind Mr. Dale here. Of course, the man with the highest DNF rate over the course of the F1 Create Series, 36 to be absolutely precise. Maybe there's a big brain play going on when the second race becomes reserved, but look at this, we're going to go 3 wide in towards turn number 14. They've gone 2 now. Razin Chai deciding his time is now. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix here. Guri will settle into P2. Meraki demoted 2 positions down to P3.
Oh, and a little bit of McLaren civil war potentially there. Razin into the pit, so he gets the lead of the race and then immediately dives off into the pits to get rid of those soft compound tyres. Tim McMurdoch released by his teammate to move up into 6th position. Now Punju is criminal into the pit lane. 10-second penalty for speeding. GB has got ahead of his teammate Devon Butler, and now he's sniffing around the gearbox of Meraki to potentially get into 2nd place.
Yeah, this would be fantastic for GB68. Of course, P3 last time out when we raced in Las Vegas. Of course, P2, so history could be rewriting itself ever so slightly, but lots of time still to make up a few of the drivers. And it looks like Matty lost some time in the pit stops there.
Yeah, I think he's double stacked behind Razin, so the communication there between the 2 Ferrari cars not quite working very well. We've got a yellow flag. Dark Viper is losing places. Is that Mercedes potentially in the wall, or have they taken a trip off into the escape road?
I think we'll try and get confirmation of that a little bit later, but he has dropped time back to Duncan. I think he is, wherever he has ended up, he is on his way, so maybe just headed into one of the mini runoff zones that we have on this Vegas circuit. Massey with another issue to his name, 3 seconds worth of penalties making his way through, and unfortunately the man in the Scuderia Ferrari hasn't had the best race, but he could be prepping for the 2nd Grand Prix here.
100%. So those soft tyres must be absolutely rubbish then, because Razin and Punju only got 6 laps out of them, a little bit less for Matty and for Safso as Meraki's trying to get the lead back from Elray Guri. Doesn't even need the braking zone. GB's going to try and follow Elray through. They're going to be side by side over the curves. Got to be careful because it can spit you into one of these barriers. Massive tail snap on the exit.
Oh, you almost predicted it was going to happen. GB narrowly avoiding any major damage to his Aston Martin there, but he will allow his teammate through on the inside. And who's this following them through? It is the man, the myth, the legend. It's Tom himself. He goes for a dive now on Devon Butler, and he's made the position up. He's up to P3 from where he once started. Tom with an almighty comeback in the last few laps.
Top gun from Tom the Bomb up into the podium places as the Aston Martins continue to squabble behind. Devon Butler holding on to 4. Look at that, it's 3 wide. GB getting swallowed up potentially by Nogueira and by Tim McMurdoch. The McLaren is through. What about the Mercedes around the outside goes GB, just about holding on to 6th place.
Well, it's the 2 championship contenders split by GB at the moment. Elray, of course, still off in the distance, up in the podium positions. But Tim McMurdoch on a fantastic run of form in the last 7.5 laps of racing. He's made his way up to P5 after probably one of his worst qualifying positions so far. We've had someone go wide at the back. Well, that's Mr. Dale and Bushy Anderson. We have got a safety car here in Las Vegas. And this is where some free pit stops start coming around.
I think we've got a bit of a car park. I think Bushy is still stopped there. Yes, in the wall. And, well, that front... Oh, he's been hit. I think he's been hit there by the kick Sauber.
Yeah, I think he was caught by Matty D there. Bushy has been disqualified. Oh, no, it's got worse for the Alpine. And look at that, Duncan and Dark Viper having to go very slowly through the twists and turns there to avoid collecting the Alpine. And Dark Viper still falling foul. Just a little bit of contact with Bushy's car.
That felt a little bit like Rush Hour. You remember the game where you have to move the cars around, try and not drive into one another? That's what it was like there, trying to get past Bushy Ants. Devon Butler looked like he was incredibly wide going into the complex there of 14, 15 and 16. Everybody diving into the pits. Is that with the exception of Tom the Bomb? I can't see that. Alpine, no, is coming into the pits. Just a little bit of a dummy there.
Yeah, the question will be, are we going to see any 10-second penalties for speeding in the pit lane? That line comes rather quickly amongst our drivers. GB's going to almost certainly double stack against his teammates, so GB will lose some time being held behind Adam Sands. You can see
Nogueira's put the hard tyres on. He's done that for the third time this season.
Are we seeing a big brain play by Nogueira though? Because he was on the mediums, correct? He couldn't go medium. Yes.
Well, a lot of people have gone medium. Meraki's gone medium. So has Elray. So has Tom. It's only Alex Gillen out of the leading group that have used both tyre compounds.
See, we've seen this from Nogueira before, because what he'll do is he'll put the hards on and then one lap later switch to another set of mediums. Technically, within the rules of the Creator Series, of course, if you pit onto them by mistake, you have to pit off them within 3 laps. That is the ruling on that. And I think it's one of those situations where maybe following the letter of the law and maybe not following the spirit of the law for Nogueira.
But if it is intentional, then that's I don't think it goes within the laws of the Creator Series. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it is by mistake, because he has done it twice already this season. I remember famously in Imola, qualified very, very well, then started on the hard compound tyre, so had to pit at the end of lap 1. So I'm not going to take a cynical viewpoint of that, I don't think.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, he has 3 laps to pit off them, and I'm sure he will. And I'm sure he has realised what potentially was a mistake for Nogueira, but quite often in these situations, other drivers will have gone on the softs. I think Duncan, Pondon both on the softs. I'm expecting them probably to come onto the mediums at one point to finish this race off. Speaking of GB, he's just down there in 14th at the moment. 65 race starts, scoring 765 points before his race win last time out in Baku. And what a race win it was. Separated by mere hundredths of a second between himself and Alex Gillen up towards the line. Pure cinema.
An all-time Creator Series classic, I think it has to go down as, I mean, the order was completely flipped pretty much from 10 laps before the race concluded. We had rain thrown in there towards the end, then it dried up a little bit as well. Absolutely incredible race.
It certainly was, and if you do want to go back and have a look at it, the reaction of all the drivers crossing the line, I think, went out on YouTube on the Creator Series socials just a couple of hours ago, maybe yesterday evening. And let's have a look at it. We've got a replay. To cause that car to face Cyrus, a little bit of contact there with Mr. Bale, just run into the barrier. And he's been clipped by Punju, and that is what sends the car round.
I just don't think he knew the McLaren was there, to be honest. It was very, very late that you saw on his camera angle that flash of Papaya come past him, and he was driving down. Oh, dearie me, that's where he got disqualified. Absolutely nothing that Matty could do there. A bit of a Code Brown moment for the Ferraris. They came through turn number 5, saw an Alpine driving towards them.
I cannot imagine how terrifying that would have been. Not only for Bushy, because, as you said, I didn't see that McLaren until the absolute last second. You're watching Dale on your inside line. You've seen him gone into the barrier. You're kind of making sure he's okay. And out of nowhere, Punju comes flying past, clips your wheel, and sends you round. And then, obviously, Matty in that car must have come round the other way and seen that car. We're going to go aboard with Doug. Duncan. And this was a little bit earlier on in the race. Lap 7, you can see just in the top left-hand side of your screens briefly. Fortunately, managed to keep going and no doubt repaired that front wing when they headed into the pit stops.
100%, yeah. We saw the yellow flags come out for Dark Viper losing a couple of places, but that was a bit of a dramatic moment, trying the reverse entry drift into turn number 5. I rate it very highly, but maybe not the most successful line to try and take for the Mercedes, and he currently holds 18th position, the 2 Mercedes cars. Well, bringing up the rear at the moment as Nogueira has got off those hard compound tyres, but he is on a brand new set of mediums, Mike.
He is, and he will have an almighty uphill battle now to try and recover any chance of taking the championship fight to Team Marcanari Guri. He needs to score at least minimum a podium in this race to try and hope and hold on. But as things stand, Team Atmodic and Ariguri will take it to, I think, the next race. I believe at this moment, Ariguri's just doing enough to hold on for Team Atmodic, but we will continue through, and I'm sure the Australian has got a plan. Pondon's come over the team radio. P11, I could be eating so good tonight.
He could be, yes. Hopefully not getting a nosebleed for being so high, but it is Meraki backing the field up on those new mediums. Razin a little bit disadvantaged as he came in just before the safety car came out. We've got a bit of a change of a position further back. Hayden Gullis and Mr. Dale can't get enough of each other, it seems, in 15th and 16th.
Well, it's something we've seen time and time again. Hayden and Mr. Dale just having a little bit of a bromance back in the nosebleeds. But at the moment, Meraki puts his foot to the floor and we go racing once again. Lap 11 of 25. Meraki from Razin, from Ere Guri. Tom still up there as well as Matty D managing to pip out GB. Well, not for long. GB still holding on to P12 as Noguera makes one position up. 17 to go if he wants this race win.
Tim McMurdoch potentially looking to renew the spoils between himself and Tom the Bomb. I don't think he's quite close enough to think about a dart up the inside. Got Alex Gillen for company behind as well, who can go to the end of the race. There are only a few drivers that have used both compounds. Razin Chai being one, Alex Gillen another, and Safso inside the top 10 as well.
Yeah, Safso, one of those drivers that will be consistently up in the top 10. Luck hasn't necessarily always gone his way, but he is a man of pure racing grit and baguettes, and of course, an aficionado of the pita bread. But we will continue through this Grand Prix. I'm sure he'll have one for dinner if he manages to make his way inside the top 10 once again. But Mattia McMurdoch here on the back of Tom the Bomb. P4 is in the offing as we continue through this Grand Prix.
Yeah, Tom looks a little bit slow here, a little bit ragged through that middle sector. Is that the opportunity that Tim McMurdoch needs? I tell you what, we could be seeing this through in the complete opposite order by the time we get to the braking zone at turn number 14, because Ere Guri, he's already made mincemeat of the Ferrari of Razin Chai, but he's not satisfied with second place. The reigning champion, does he want the lead of it? Well, I think he's satisfied with second place, I have to say. I'm going to correct myself there. Alex Gillen and Tim McMurdoch batting away with Tom. The McLaren trying to go around the outside of the Alpine, but there is not going to be the space there, and does file in behind.
Yeah, just sits in behind for the time being. I think there is a patience game to what Ere Guri is playing Razin Chai as well. I think we'll happily let the Red Bull and the Williams fight as we charge onto lap 12 of 25. We approach half race distance and it has gone by almightily fast. Ere Guri with the fastest lap at the moment. His ace has been held high. He just needs another card to fall for himself to try and make the blackjack and take home the jackpot in this opening race.
GB, good restart from 13th, already back up inside the top 10. Matty D is retired, that is in the wall, and that is another safety car for the Kick Sauber.
That is indeed Matty D in the wall through turn 3 and 4. But Mylander been summoned out for the second time this afternoon. Matty D, Bushy Ants, both of them will be taking an early shower, but do not fear, they will be making an appearance in about, well, let's say half an hour's time when we head to race 2 here in the Creator Series. More position changing happening further back. Hayden, Dale, Punju and Noguera all involved this time as well. And I'm sure Matty is, well, let's just say ended up with the expensive repair bill for his mechanics.
100%, yeah. We haven't spoken too much about Punju. We'll just look at this safety car. Ha 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 ha! He's going to be delighted about that. He holds on to place and gives him another chance to potentially get past those two Aston Martin cars in front. But Punji, from a race that was looking so rosy but a few laps ago, the timing of the safety car was not good for that second McLaren car. Was comfortably inside the top 5 for the first 6 or 7 laps, now finding himself second last in 17th.
Yeah, not been a race to remember for Punju at the moment. It's not to say how he'd like to see it go. Of course, qualifying really well, albeit holding up his teammate, and how the roles are reversed over 12 laps of racing. But Tim McMurdoch trying to keep his championship chances alive. Safety car will take us through probably 2 laps of slow, albeit parade laps around Las Vegas. The fans will get their opportunity to wave at some of their favourite drivers, and of course Meraki, who leads this Grand Prix. And we will go racing probably on lap 14 of 25. People are diving into the pits though. I saw at least one of the Haas cars heading in, and that is going to be Duncan and Safso, both into the pit lane, both on alternate tyres as well.
Yeah, so a lot of the drivers at the front are banking on the fact that there will be another safety car so they can change tyres. A lot of drivers have gone medium so far in this race. The race leader, Meraki, Ere Guri has gone medium. So has Tom, so has Tim McMurdoch, so has Dragonflies, so has Devon Butler, so has GB. Still got to use the soft tyres in this race.
Question as well, and this goes to probably a general consensus. When is that rain coming? Because it's been mentioned, we've seen it in chat, we've seen it mentioned, or we've heard it mentioned from Meraki. According to all our radars, it's probably coming in about 15 minutes time, which as safety cars come more and more frequent, that is starting to become a real possibility here in Vegas.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're holding on to. We are going to have a little replay though of the Kick Sauber of Matty D13 taking an early shower, bringing up A little tap from the rear. No, drops it all on his own and then face first into the barrier, eye to eye with the F1 24 advertising board, and that is his race over at half distance.
I'm not sure what's worse from Matty there, the fact that he was behind Mr. Safety Car JE, more commonly known as Mr. Dale JE, or the fact that he spelt safety wrong in Dale's name.
Oh, no. How did he spell it? I didn't catch that.
SAFTEY.
Oh, dear.
So he's just got it run the wrong way. It's happened. It's a very common misspelling of safety. I'll even admit to doing it accidentally the wrong way. But the pure irony of being behind Mr. Safety Car and then causing said safety car, I think that is one for not the highlight reel, but certainly a review there going on for the week.
100%. I imagine Mr. Dale is going to be laughing at that and being pretty smug, although that's going to end pretty quickly because he is currently last out of our 18 runners in a battle between himself and Duncan for the wooden spoon at the moment.
Certainly is. It's not been the race to remember, of course. Dale now put on the softs. This is interesting, and it could be a fantastic call from the Red Bull racing car. If that rain is coming in the next kind of few minutes, within maybe 10 to 15 minutes, which we are expecting it to do, he can run on the softs. Everyone's going to have to get anyway onto the intermediates, and we'll see how it goes. And this is how it stands in the championship. Points, of course, awarded for the drivers as it stands with the safety car period. Tim Marduk on 169 points. Not quite across the threshold that he would need heading into next race weekend, but it is certainly, just hanging on to the advantage.
Yeah, 45 points at the moment won't quite be enough. That battle for second place is going to get very, very spicy indeed. El Guri currently holding it, but Razin Chai, who isn't inside the top 5 in that scrap, along with Alec Gillen, can he try and pick up some consistent podium finishes? His pace in the first stint on the soft tyres wasn't particularly good, but looked a little bit more controlled in the couple of laps we saw on those mediums.
Yeah, just a reminder of the wildcard in play this weekend, aptly named the Double Down wildcard here in Las Vegas. Short qualifying that we saw just a short while ago. 2 50% races for full points, so that is a double opportunity for our drivers in the championship to score points as well. And don't forget, if you want to join in on the F1 24 action, you can play it for absolutely nothing this weekend across any of your favourite stores or consoles. That's PC as well. And if you want to try and buy it permanently, enjoy what you play over the weekend, it's 60% off for both the Champions and the Standard Edition.
100%. You can get your hands on some of the Season 4 content that has just been released. You can get your hands on the McLaren Chrome livery in the Oscar Piastri Pro Challenge. Who can beat the Australian? Very, very talented driver, but can you beat his lap time? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, certainly one that I'm going for. I want to try and get that Chrome livery. Looks absolutely beautiful, both in real life and the game as well. But enough about our yapping, enough about talking about, enough about talking about virtual race cars. Let's go back to talking about virtual race cars. As Bert Mylander peels into the pit lane, we'll start lap 15 of 25. 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and it will be the Williams Meraki that leads us away once again.
Backing everybody up. Deja vu from a couple of laps ago. Fought the pole sitter. Will El Reguri try potentially something different? Will he want the lead of that race early, the lead of the race early, and then try to control the pace? Got a couple of wins so far this season, looking to make it 3, the reigning champion, and keep his slim championship hopes alive.
Certainly will. It's a tough ask from himself. Meraki slows the pack up, but he puts his foot to the floor. The lights will go green, and we will go racing in Vegas once again. Meraki leads us down towards turn number 1. Tom looks for an almighty move down the inside as he's trying to hold back Team Marduk in P5, and the McLaren driver will just have to settle for that position for now. Tom will hold on to P4. Razin Chai quite happily chilling in P3 in that podium position, but who can forget further back? Gillen trying to make a move. Team Marduk trying to make a move here. He's gone for 1. He's going to go for 2. He's gone for 3 down the inside of Are Guri. Guri takes the escape road. Oh my goodness, what have we just seen?
See you later, El Rey. Tim Marduk and El Rey Guri coming to blows again. That one was firmly on the McLaren, though very, very late on the brakes. Bit of a shoulder barge handed out to the Red Bull driver there. Potentially some damage for the McLaren as well. Losing places once again. Tom getting back through. Alex Gillen up into 4th. Not particularly good, and the 2 title rivals getting stuck in with each other.
They certainly are indeed, and tell you what, talk about elbows out, that is side pods out for Tim Marduk as Are Guri falls down to 18th place. And I wonder if Ben's slowing down to try and let Are Guri go back through, and I think that's what he's done here.
Good sportsmanship. It does come after he's punted him off the circuit, but yeah, Razin, what have I just seen? I think we're echoing the same thing, mate.
Certainly are indeed. Razin, of course, I think he had a first-class ticket to seeing what just occurred there as GB managing to pip out Dragonflies up in P5. The Haas driver just settling for down 1. and Adam Sanderson in P7 as things stand. Everybody, I think, maybe a little bit shaken up, but fair play to Timo Mardik there, allowing his championship rival all the way through as DRS and gets enabled once again. If he's going to win this championship, he wants to win it the fair way.
He does. This is going to be very interesting if these two continue to battle it out for the wooden spoon, because of course they'll be right at the sharp end for the next race. Ben, do you have damage? Ben, do you have damage? Ben, do you have damage? Probably not wanting to give anyone the psychological advantage, I would imagine.
Well, I think the question we should be asking is, damage do you have, Ben? But we will continue through this Grand Prix. 9 laps to go here, and if anybody gets that, let us know in chat, because either that or we're really showing our age here, Tom.
Come on, guys. You've got to know what we're on about.
Ex-Matty G is, let's just say, one of the classic childhood memories. He finds himself in P9 in the moment, of course, gifted not 1 but 2 positions after that contact between Ariguri and Timo Mardik. And speaking of Ariguri, Punju is doing his teammate a massive favour, holding up the Red Bull car, not letting him up to P14.
Yeah, doing a very solid job. I would imagine he will very easily get out of the way of his teammate when Timo Mardik cruises up to the back of that other Papaya McLaren car, but this should be Airray's opportunity to try and get rid of Punju and move up into 14th. Continue this recovery job, try and pick up as many points as possible. Top 15 score points in the Creator Series as Tom gets ahead of Razin for second place.
Does indeed. Tom up to P2. Razin will settle for P3 at the moment. Maybe still too focused on the incident that he saw earlier between the Mercedes and the Red Bull racing car. They're down in 15th and 17th respectively at the moment, but the battle for the race lead is well and truly on as GB pips out Alex Gillen. There's a spin for other round. Razin Chai has been sent into the barrier. The Scuderia is sent spinning, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bird Mylander once again.
Pirouetting out of the final corner, trailing down the barriers goes Razin Chai, and that is his hopes of a good result in this first race, extinguished after contact with Alex Gillen and with GB68.
Well, someone needs to tell Razin the roulette table belongs in the casino and not on the racetrack, as much as he would like to imitate it at the moment, and that is a face of frustration for the Scuderia driver. His teammate, of course, up in P8 at the moment, Matty, with the penalty to his name. He'll have a considerable obstacle to overcome in the latter stages of this race, but Razin Chai throwing away what could have been an almighty race result for the Scuderias.
100%. Yeah, that's going to be very, very disappointing. The replay, when we get that in a few moments' time, is going to be absolutely electric. Stay tuned for that. That is going to be incredible.
Yeah, the battle for the lead, though, still well and truly on. Devon Butler, also known as Adam Sanderson, has dropped back by 1.8 seconds. That leaves our front quartet, as we quite often like to say. It is Meraki Tom, Alex Gillen, and GB as your front four. Now with a 2-second advantage, as GB pips out Alex Gillen for P3 further up the field, as we still watch on board with Razin Chai further back in the grid. And there we go. We see the battle for the lead. Meraki trying to chase down Tom. Tom's managed to find his way into the lead. I think we must have missed that, as Razin's gone spinning round in circles.
Yeah, we've been talking about how it's 315 days since Tom's last Creator Series victory, but he's doing a very good job of trying to end that run, although Will Waraki think about a move down to turn 1. No, he's going to wait until turn number 5, you would imagine, with the helping hand of DRS. What can GB and Alex Gillen do? The pace for the Kick Sauber, the Season 2 champ, still doesn't look particularly strong, which is slightly unfortunate for Alex.
Well, yeah, we've got 2 champions in the top 2 at the moment. Of course, Tom and Meraki, both champions here in the F1 Creator Series. So this could be a battle for the history books. We'll keep an eye on it as we continue through. But everybody else starting to make waves. GB's managed to pull back that 2-second deficit, as I think Adam Sanderson drops a considerable amount of places further back. I'm not quite sure what happened to the Aston Martin driver. He was running about P3 or P4 at one point. But of course, the Aston Martin dropping all the way back. We have got a...
Usually it takes 2 to tango. It's going to take 3 to tango there. There was absolutely not a gap around the outside, and I think it was GB into the back of the Ferrari.
Unfortunate there for GB, and I think that will be the sole cause, being the Aston Martin. I'm sure there'll be no love lost between the Scuderia and the Aston Martin, though they are good friends. They will make up at the end of the Grand Prix, and they will go again when we get race number 2 nice and underway. But keep an eye on here. Meraki wants that position back from Tom to the inside line. Down towards turn number 14, the Williams retakes your race lead on lap 18 and 25. I thought GB thought about it around the outside, but he went very deep. Fortunate not to end up in the barrier, but he has lost about a second to Tom in front of him.
And it's music to the ears of Alex Gillen, who is diving off into the pits to get rid of those medium compact tyres. Remember, well, it is raining. Everybody has to come in again, as Alex Gillen timed that absolutely perfectly. On
and
a 10-second
penalty. Speeding in the pit lane, that is not what he'd like to see. This could be Nogueira throwing away his championship hopes, but everybody on towards the intermediate tyres. Keep an eye on what Matty puts on. Fortunately, his pit crew have put on wet tyres, and Dale also succumbing to a 10-second penalty as well.
His pace in the dry wasn't quite what he would have been liking. How is his pace in the wet going to be? Alex Gillen, usually one of the drivers that excels in these conditions. Is he going to find himself picking up a first win of the season? Tim Marduk had the opportunity to come in on this lap, elected to stay out. Is that going to be costly for the championship leader? Potentially another mistake.
Yeah, this is not going his way. The question is, how drivable are the conditions in Vegas at the moment? It does look rather like an ice rink for a few of our drivers, taking it nice and controlled through the twists and turns. You can see on the track map just how close Alex Gillen is to the back of Tim Marduk there. I don't know why he didn't head into the pits. Maybe trying to avoid the double stack with his teammate Punju. That could be a very valid reason, but Dark Viper up on the back of Saf, so look at how much the rear of that car wants to kick out. He can't keep it in a straight line. The rain is falling increasingly heavy here in Vegas, and Timo Marduk now on the back of the Mercedes trying to drag him down towards turn 14.
I think this was a genius call from Alex Gillen. Tom getting ahead of Meraki down into 14, 15 and 16. Team Marduk is going to pick up 5th place. Meraki gets back ahead of Tom, swapping places. Who's going to be the winner of the race into the pits? I think GB spun though.
I think he might have had a little bit of a kick out. We've had someone further back. I think that might be Mr. Dale and Duncan coming to blows down at turn number 12. You've got yellow flags there released as Razinchai does approach them after his earlier spin. But the top 6 now in towards the pit lane. I think you're right. GB might have had an instant. He's dropped 3.5 seconds to Tom in front of him. But keep an eye on Alex Gillen now as he rounds the final corner. And he will surely take the race lead. He won in Season 7. And with 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix, he's winning in Season 8.
It is absolutely bucketing it down. Look at how quickly the rain has come down. There's Meraki span out of the pit lane, right into the path of the kick Sauber, but it's Alex Gillen who leads.
It is Alex Gillen that leads, and of course he'll have a little bit more temperature in his tyres from 1 lap of racing. No DRS, of course, in the wet weather conditions, so it is going to be a battle of straight line speed alone. Alex Gillen just holding that inside line like a newborn child, and he will continue to lead the Grand Prix. Yellow flags further back again. I think that will have been Duncan with that earlier damage just being picked out by Razin Chai. But this is going to be an almighty photo finish if Meraki can hold on to the back of Gillen.
And I have to say, staying out didn't cost Tim Marduk too much time because he's still in 11th position. Yes, El Rey Guri has managed to get ahead of the 2 RB cars who swap places. Safso gets ahead of Hayden, but this isn't a disaster for Tim Marduk, and he is ahead of Matty.
Yeah, I think that lap was probably the perfect switchover point for a few of our drivers, just drivable enough to hold out on the mediums. Of course, the DRS not getting disabled until halfway down the run towards turn 14, so they got the added benefit of getting that rear wing open for about 3/4 of a lap. That might have been what saved Tim Marduk's run on those mediums.
Not the end of the world for the championship leader. And with his main rival only a couple of places up the road, you would imagine Ben can get ahead of at least those 2 RB cars in the remaining 5 laps of this race. GB, Devon Butler and Dragonfly squabbling over 5th, 6th and 7th. And then it is the reigning champion El Rey Guri now closing up to the back of Mr. Adam Sanderson. But Alex Gillen, cometh the hour, cometh the man. As the rain starts to come down, he has managed to inherit the lead.
Yeah, there's a battle there as well. Matty and Doug Viper going side by side. Matty becoming the victor in amongst that. Viper getting very loose through turn 16. I think a little bit wobbly for the Mercedes car. Planned out and prepared for a dry race, and the rear wing not necessarily beneficial in wet weather conditions like this. But he will follow the Scuderia through in towards turn number 1. It looks like Punji thought about a dive on the Mercedes that stood in front of him, but he has backed out early on the brakes. And he's gone round. Punju's in the wall. Punju's missing part of his front wing.
I'm surprised the wheels haven't fallen off the car there, but his wheels have certainly come off hypothetically in the race there. The battle continues though between Dark Viper and Matty. Matty going defensive, but Dark Viper having absolutely none of that as he pulls over to the right-hand side of the circuit. The Ferrari gives the Mercedes the room. Going to be a bit skatey under brakes. Can they get the car stopped? Can they slam the anchors on? It's brilliant from Matt around the outside, you have to say. Holds on to 12th.
This is beautiful racing between the two of them, showing it exactly how it should be done, leaving enough room for each other. Matty holding on to P12 at the moment, of course being race engineered by Tommy, that stands probably in his ear over the last 21.5 laps of racing. Dark Viper holding on to the Scuderia like your child holds on to candy, and at the moment this is a fantastic display of sportsmanship and race quality.
Formula drift a little bit for these two in the middle sector there. That's very wobbly for the Ferrari in front. Can the Mercedes capitalise? Is he going to just nudge him into the wall? Bit of a love tap with the Barrett and a slide on the exit.
very, very well to recover that. In other news, Team Marduk has managed to pip out Hayden Gullis. He's up to P10. On the flip side, Araguri gets past Dragonflies. Tom up to P3 as he holds off Nogueira. Of course, Nogueira with 10 seconds of penalties to his name, so won't be able to hold too many positions come the end of the race. But Tom will be happy to try and get that on track. Now they can work together to try and pull forwards to the likes of Meraki and Alex Gillen.
Guri's very quick as well. He's already got past Adam Sanderson and Dragonflies on this lap. Now back into the top 6. What a recovery drive this could be from Guri. If this pace continues, Tom not troubling the apex there through turns 1 and 2. Still holding on to 3rd place ahead of Nogueira. But a podium is potentially possible for Arrow with this pace.
Certainly is indeed. He's one that you never rule out from a podium position. Of course, he can come back from the most almighty of deficits and only standing down in P6. Make that P5 if you take the 10-second penalty into account for Nogueira that stands in front of him. He's only 2 positions off standing on that podium at the end of this race.
Did you see how close Tom got to the wall there coming through turn number 5? You could barely fit a playing card between them. The playing card they would use on the jackpot tables. That was what could fit, and only that between the rear wheel of that Alpine and the barrier on the left-hand side.
Incredibly close. Alex Gillen's come across the team radio. He's saying he's really struggling with battery, and I wonder if that's because Meraki's putting him under almighty pressure through the long straights they have here in Vegas, and then Williams essentially is in control here because if the Williams wants to charge, they can charge. They'll use the slipstream to their advantage, have that extra straight line speed that's afforded to them. And as they continue down towards turn number 14, it is Meraki that I think effectively holds all the cards here in Vegas.
He's got a pretty decent run here, but I don't think he's going to think about a move up into turn number 14. That will be very, very risky indeed, especially with 3.5 laps to go. Both a little bit late on the brakes. Don't trouble the curb on the inside there, but absolutely jump across the curb through 15 and 9 through 16 as well. They've managed to drop Tom by nearly 2.5 seconds. So it is a 2-horse race with 3 laps to go. Alex Gillen has been here many, many times before. Can he hold off the charging Williams?
That'd be the almighty question. Rear lights flashing for the both of them, of course. Don't mistake that with them charging their battery. The rain lights on the cars flash red if you are new to F1. That could explain why the both rear lights are flashing. It isn't going to be an opportunity for the drivers to know if the car in front or behind is charging their battery. So no advantage for Meraki, unfortunately, in this case. We're on lap 23 of 25. 3 to go in this Grand Prix. Gillen at the moment P1, Meraki P2. As we continue our way through. He's got 8 wins to his names, 5 DNFs, 32 podiums over 76 race starts. Although my notes say this is race start number 80 for Meraki, so maybe my notes are off for today.
Yeah, looking to get one closer to doubling up in the Creator Series. 8 victories, hoping to make it 9. Alex Gillen looking to get closer to 20 Creator Series victories, though.
Yeah, exactly. That would be an almighty race for himself. I mean, in theory, he could get both of those wins today, make it win number 20 for himself, and an incredibly impressive 1 DNF over 46 races. I think that's about 2.7% DNF rate over his entire Creator Series career.
GB is closed right up to the back of Tom, who is really struggling at the moment in these conditions, and Nogueira, who's getting boxed in behind the Alpine car. Is this going to be the time we see the lead changing hands? Here goes GB. High go GB around the outside. Could he be taking a couple of places here? Tom boxing in Nogueira. So the Aston Martin's got a clean run around the outside into 14, 15 and 16.
This is like a T-pack manoeuvre we're seeing between the Alpine and the Aston Martin, just holding Nogueira. Tom's gone deep though. He's in towards the barrier. GB's managed to snuggle his way through, as has Nogueira. But Tom, incredibly late on the brakes, trying to hold off the cars behind him. And that's actually compromised his own race now. And look who's behind him. The obviously last season's champion, Guri, just lurking behind the Alpine.
Tom could be finding himself falling down to 6th place, temporarily, of course, because of those 10 seconds looming over the head of Nogueira. Tim Marduk squabbling with Adam Sanderson, Devon Butler for 9th and 10th position. Ben hasn't really made the progress that we would have expected in the past few laps. There we are, side by side pod to side pod, sliding from the pair of them. They've got Dragonflies in the way as well. Could this be a couple of places picked up for the Papaya McLaren car? Look at the bump drafting going on. That has really hurt Adam Sanderson there. And Tim Marduk says, thank you very much, please and thank yous. And he is 8th position.
Yeah, he's going to try and move down the inside there on Dragonflies. He wasn't necessarily as late on the brakes. We've seen cars go in present, or at least in this race, let alone. We saw how late Tim Marduk was into that braking zone, just a few laps to go, gracefully giving the position back to Guri. Fantastic display of sportsmanship as they both find themselves back up nearing the original positions that they were once upon a time. Guri, of course, will be looking to try and take a couple of points out of Team Marduk's championship advantage. And, of course, one more race still to come. 4 points on offer for both Grand Prix, and it could be decided in the next Grand Prix. I don't think Timo Marduk's going to settle out here, but let's hope the cards are in his favour for race number 2.
You would like to think so, wouldn't you? Here is El Guri. I think this is going to be very, very easy because Tom is really, really struggling on these intermediate tyres. Like candy from a baby, through goes the Red Bull car. Tom, unless he tries something audacious around the outside, which I wouldn't particularly recommend, he is going to lose that position. 4 seconds back to Safso, who has done a very good job indeed from 19th on the grid, but Tom should be fairly safe in the remaining lap or so.
Yep, I think he certainly will. Someone who is not safe over the next lap or so will be Alex Gillen. He's got Meraki 1/10 just behind him in towards turn number 1. 3.8 miles to go in the first of the 2 races here this afternoon. Gillen drifting around the opening few corners through 2, through 3, through 4. And the Kicks Albert looking very unsteady compared to the Williams that stands behind him. But he is managing to hold on to the Grand Prix win. Lap 25 of 25 in race 1 at the moment. Gillen with all the advantage over the Williams of Meraki.
GB behind, getting past Nogueira. He was going to inherit that position anyway, but good recovery from GB after the various misdemeanors and the trials and tribulations he's had in this race so far to pick up a podium. Look at that, it is absolutely chucking it down as Meraki brushes the barrier slightly there, eyeing up an opportunity potentially, but he is running out of time. Got a lot of battery left. He's going to have to use it all down that strip straight.
Yeah, talk about dumping your winnings. I think Meraki will be dumping his battery down towards turn number 14. We run through the head of, the head of this Grand Prix. We've got yellow flags by the back. I think that's Matty P. We're actually going deep in towards turn number 6, but drivers won't be too concerned about that. Meraki over the team radio. What he said, no damage. I'm assuming he's according to himself with a little tap to the barrier, but this is where surely he's going to make it move. He's in the slipstream of Alex Gillen. They're both burning as much battery as they possibly can. We're surely not going to see too wide into turn 14. Meraki up to the lead of the Grand Prix. He's managing to pip out Alex Gillen at the moment. This all goes to the braking zone. Gillen's going to go late on the brakes, try and force a move down the inside. They're both drifting through the corner. They're still wheel to wheel though. Beautiful. Enough space left by both drivers. Meraki though comes home surely now to win the Grand Prix. He'll come round the final corner, and what happened in Vegas will certainly not stay in Vegas as Meraki wins race number 1 in the Creator Series, round number 9.
Both drivers very, very lucky, I have to say, because Alex Gillen, I saw a little bit of lime green bodywork fly up just as they went into the braking zone. I think he did tap the back of the Williams car.
I think he did. I think there was a little bit of damage between the two of them. I'd love to go back and see that from another perspective. Everybody seeming to go deep into turn number 14 there. I'm sure we'll hear about it on Monday afternoon. If you know, you know. But Meraki takes race win number 1. El Guri, more importantly, for the championship, finishes P4. Timo Marduk P7. Nogueira finishing P11. I think that knocks him out of championship contention, but we will wait for confirmation on that.
Good recovery from El, good recovery from Timo Marduk as well after they banged heads a little bit halfway through this race. El to get back up into 4th position considering he was last halfway through. Excellent drive indeed, holding off Tom right at the death. And Timo Marduk finishing just under a 10th off the back of Safso in an RB sandwich. Hayden Gullis, you have to commend him as well, starting from last place. Another decent chunk of points for Hayden, who just seems to be racking them up very consistently. Adam Sanderson rounding out the top 10. He'll be a little bit disappointed considering I think he was in P4 when the rain started to come down.
Yeah, it certainly will. And don't forget, we've got another race on our hands. There's another 25 laps to go here in Vegas. The grid will get reversed, and I'm fairly sure that means Bushy Yance, who drove the wrong way through this grid, managed to get himself disqualified, will start at the front of the next race. Well, again, we'll wait for confirmation of that in just a few moments' time. Here's your podium for the time being, though. Meraki takes the top step. Alex Gillen alongside him. GB, of course, rounding out the podium, as he did last time in Season 7. Alex Gillen might have won it last time out when we came here in Vegas. Unfortunately, he'll have to settle for P2 today.
I have to really respect, though, what Alex Gillen did on that final lap. He absolutely launched it back up the inside. I loved how brave he was, loved how committed he was. Yeah, he got it wrong, but that's the kind of stuff you want to see in the Creator Series at different times. And he gave the position back, I think, right at the end, because he realised that he had just got it slightly wrong, forced Meraki almost into the wall. So big respect for the attempted overtake and big respect for the aftermath as well.
Yeah, fantastic day out for the V-Car boys as well. 6th and 8th, respectively, from 19th and 20th. It's been a Grand Prix to remember for themselves. But your top 10 were Meraki, Gillen, GB, El Guri, Tom, Safso, Timo Marduk, Hayden Gullis, Dragonflies, and Adam Sanderson. Your bottom 10, Nogueira, Dark Viper, Pondant, Razin Chai, Punju, Matty, Duncan, Mr. Dale finishing it off, and Matty D and Bushy Ants as your DNFs for this afternoon. And we
Yeah,
we have no replay
for us
for this afternoon.
We're going to jump back, unfortunately, to our faces. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, we've got another 29 laps coming your way very shortly. And it will be a reverse grid. Meraki and Alex Gillen on the back row. That's going to be very, very interesting. Tim McMulloch starting potentially slightly higher than he would have expected. But yeah, interesting for the championship, that one.
Yep, I think it certainly will be. I think we'll get hopefully updated standings at some point throughout the next race, potentially when we get the inevitable safety car that we can pretty much guarantee is going to come. But let us know in the live chat who you're rooting for in the second Grand Prix here. Of course, that could be the live chats over here at the Create Series or even on the EA Sports F1 YouTube channel. We will read them and we are aware of you guys chatting along, and it's fantastic to see so many people getting involved. I think we have got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Meraki, in for another talk after what was a dominant
In a way, you have to believe that you're the best driver out there. That's the only way that you get to the top.
How does it feel for you to have a livery in-game? People are going to be able to play.
It can be like really personal, right? And the attention to detail. And yeah, it's really cool that people can drive cars that are not just the standard liveries of the team or whatever,
Right.
and relate a little bit more as a person to a certain livery.
I have these lines that are called like polymorphs. They represent life and existence and vibration. I'm really excited to tell your story and integrate it into my style.
I guess it's important to choose the base color.
Of course, I'd love to hear colors that you
My
vibrate
favorite
with.
color is blue.
Okay, so like a navy, something like that. I love that.
Just to be the best, I had to go
The stripes as well is quite cool.
Definitely, yeah, definitely a lot of racing stripes.
If they had a doubt, they gon' see what
I quite like this in the back as well, because I like to have triangles.
Nice.
You can catch us at the
I think it's great to mention the three-time world champion. Should we maybe do something with the stars?
Yeah, so I put them on basically the back of my helmet to showcase the titles won.
So I think that's perfect to kind of interlace all different moments of your career and your passions and things that you like and bring it all together.
I'm happy with that.
It's awesome.
I'm a champion. I'm a champion, I can't lose. I'm a champion. I'm a champion, I can't lose. I'm a champion.
Well, welcome back, folks. Hopefully you can all hear us now at the moment. Apologies for that. It's an issue that is outside of our control, and we'll try and manage it as we go through the course of the afternoon. But we are going to try attempt number 2, Electric Boogaloo, of getting Meraki in for a chat. We're going to drag him in and see if he's around for a chat. Meraki, apologies for earlier. You may have broken something on our end, but he's back now. We have got you in the room. Converting pole to a race win. Talk us through how it went.
Just sweating. I genuinely, I did not say a single word for that last like 5 laps. I was just like locked onto Alex's rear wing, and for whatever reason, I knew I should have boxed the lap that Alex boxed, because maybe it might have been a bit easier, and I probably would have come out ahead, or I would have come out ahead. But yeah, when it started getting really, really heavy at the end, I started to notice that I was just quicker than Alex down the straights and through like exits like turn 1 and turn, I think it's like 6. It's after you go past the sphere. It's like the little hairpin, little left-hander.
Yeah.
like out of those corners, I just seemed to like really kind of catch up to Alex. So I kind of knew if I just kept on doing that and just locked in for a bit, all I had to do was wait until the the straight and just dump my battery. So yeah, no, it was good. There was a little bit of contact at the end, but he said it's because he tried going for a move and then he just kind of misjudged where I was gonna stop. So
how stressful was the whole race in general? Because for the majority of it, you were getting abroad with somebody, and some very good racing in there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done like a safety car restart in ages before today. I think the last time I did one was like Imola, and then before that was even longer. So the fact that I've got 2 today, and I had like some good fights with Razin and El Rey at the start before Ben murdered him. Then yeah, it was just kind of just focusing for the rest of the race. Really, it was just a fun race. I enjoyed it.
It looked fun from a broadcast perspective anyway, but flipping everything quite literally and physically on its head now. Starting from the back of the grid, what's your game plan going into race 2?
Honestly, I'm not fast. I was just saying like a couple of minutes ago, I've got the pole, I've got the win in race 1. Now I can kind of just relax and have a bit of fun in this race. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Amazing stuff. Tom, anything more from Maraki?
No, all good. Very, very composed drive, especially when you had the blowtorch being applied to you for pretty much the whole of it.
I was just looking at, I was like doing what Jarno does, just looking back every 2 seconds. So I wasn't sure where people were going to send it.
Amazing stuff. Well, congratulations on a race win. Who knows? Can you make it for 3 for 3 at the top of the timing boards?
We'll see. Thanks, guys.
Best of luck, Jake. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if we have got Safso sat in the waiting room. I don't know if we're able to get Safso in as well. See if we want a little bit of chat. Saf, welcome in to the commentary box. And first of all, congratulations on what was a fantastic pull through the field over the course of that race.
Thank you very much.
Well, talk us through how the race went for yourself, and where obviously you ended up kind of in the top 10 from P19. Some good points on the table.
Yeah, absolutely is. Got lucky with a few things. So, like, for example, Ben pulling back to let David back through. That caused a bit of kerfuffle in the braking zone. I think I gained about 3 places or so from that. Obviously, and the starting position in general wasn't great because I wasn't actually able to participate during the dry period. I was only able to do that one Inters lap pretty late on. Yeah, after that, just went for the moves that I thought I knew I could get. Was patient when I thought it'd be a bit too much of a send. And yeah, got there in the end. Somehow held off Ben. I'm really shocked he didn't like go for it in the middle sector for a surprise move, but he kept me honest. It wasn't just an easy like, I can keep this guy behind. So yeah, he needs to do some work though. He needs to outscore David by a fair bit in this next race if the maths are correct.
How did the pace feel in general? Because you're only a few seconds off a podium place, which from 19th on the grid, I know there are a couple of safety cars in there, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, the pace surprisingly wasn't too bad considering I literally did, I think, 1 lap before joining the lobby and not being able to do quali. So I'm probably the least prepared of anyone in terms of like amount of laps done. I'm pretty sure everyone's done like at least 150% race like in a community event or whatever. So yeah, the fact that I was able to more or less keep up with some of the quicker guys, it's hopefully a bit promising for maybe getting through the field again in the next one, but I know it's going to be tough, especially in those first few laps. I'm expecting at least 2 or 3 people to just swoop their way through in the first few laps, but after that, we'll see what happens, see if there's rain again, see if strategy comes our way.
Amazing stuff. Well, best of luck with race number 2, and of course, a little bit of mystery for all the drivers as well.
Indeed. Thank you very much, and good luck with the commentating in the next race.
Thank you so much, Saf. Best of luck, and we'll see you later. We have got almost race 2 about to head underway. We've got a GB sat in the waiting room. I don't know if we've got time for another interview before we get into the formation lap. We'll do a very quick short fire race. GB, welcome in. Of course, first race win last time out, and now you've gone back-to-back podiums in Las Vegas. Of course, you got one in Season 7. Talk us through how you're feeling right now.
Saw that I finished third. You think that was the most boring race, but my God, how much chaos was in that race. That was insane. I think I was at fault for I bump drafted Razin, and I'm pretty sure that caused him to spin on the start finish straight. I need to look at that one back. Obviously, apologies to Razin if that was the case. But yeah, it was chaos everywhere. I mean, you guys on the main feed would have seen all sorts. Obviously, Ben and El Rey. From my POV, I double stacked behind Adam in the pits, and I lost 8 positions, I think, on the first safety car. So that really hurt me in the race. But yeah, otherwise, I'm obviously very happy with the podium, considering where I was after halfway through the race. I will take that. So yeah, on to the next race. Hopefully, a back-to-back podium, or even better, another win.
How confident are you of making your way back through the pack with what I think we're all expecting to be absolute carnage?
Yeah, I'm confident for sure. I'm confident. Every race this season so far, I feel like race pace has been good. So if this race seems the same, I'm not struggling for the corners. I'm fast on the straights. So I trust my ability, I suppose, to get through. But I did break my wing a couple of times, I think, in there. Like, the problem is that there's, because of battery management, which is so important here, you've got people that are going slightly slower into corners slightly earlier, and then you've got to be on your toes and make sure you're braking earlier. It's really challenging as a driver, not necessarily for the circuit, but just the nature of how you drive it. So confident coming through the pack, but I'm always like a little bit worried and nervous about, early braking and shenanigans in front.
Yeah, certainly. And one more question just before we let you kind of head off. You started P3 in the last race. You're now kind of starting down in P18. Is there anything that changes in the mentality going into the race now?
Easy dub. That's the mentality. Easy dub. Make it number 2. No, I'm literally what I just said. It's just being really careful. It's doing little things like not taking the apex into a corner when you're that far back, staying where there's clear air, and just looking for any gaps. Trying to drive as smart as you can. It's really not about pace. It's about keeping it clean with the damage. You guys saw in the race that safety cars happen. I'm sure we'll see more safety cars on the next race. So yeah, we'll see.
Amazing. Well, best of luck to you, and we look forward to seeing you try and make your way through the grid as well. So best of luck, GB.
Cheers, guys. Hopefully I'll be back for another one.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully we're moments away. But the people that we had a chat to, always lovely. And they seem very optimistic heading into what could be, let's just say, carnage.
Yeah. Some of them playing their cards quite close to their chest, which I can understand in a race like this. It's going to be really interesting, because if you look at a track like Brazil, where we had a reverse grid race earlier on in the season, there's a lot of space. 45 points now the lead for Tim McMarlick over El Rey Guri, the reigning champion, taking a decent chunk out of the McLaren's lead. Meraki still very much in there, just a further 3 points back, and GB a further 4 away. That gap from second down to sixth place, Alex Gillen, just 14 points, everything to play for.
It's going to be incredibly close amongst some of our drivers here. I think if Tim McMarlick has another, not a stinker, but another stinker heading into race 2, it could open up the championship to a considerable number of drivers, and your team's standings at the moment even closer between Aston Martin and McLaren. 183 versus 172. Mercedes and Williams tied on 157 points, and then it's Sauber with 144. Cash out VCarb and Ferrari separated by just a singular point, of course, in Fratik's absence, managing to score some good points here this weekend. Red Bull, Alpine and Haas make up the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, that could get very, very interesting. McLaren would have been expecting, if you'd have taken the position maybe after lap 4 or 5, Punji was P6, Tim McMarlick I think had worked his way up into P7 or 8, they would have been expecting to extend that championship lead over Aston Martin, not have it decreased.
I think it's been, let's just say, a reconsideration for a lot of people at the McLaren this weekend. They have gone in maybe expecting some drivers heading through as well. They were expecting, like you said, some good points coming out of the first race with the double opportunity to score them. And I think they've now gone back to that drawing board, trying to reassess what exactly happened. I think Punju and Tim McMarlick have got some work to do as a team in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, Punji was obviously unlucky, like we said at the time, with the timing of the first safety car. He will be starting fairly far forward, and Tim McMarlick, I think, is P13 on the grid. Or he might be a little bit higher, not sure. So they're not quite in the depths right at the back of the pack, but definitely opportunities for the pair of them to try and right the wrongs of race number 1.
Certainly is indeed, and who knows, as GB said, there quite often will be a safety car here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more inclement weather for our drivers as we continue through this Grand Prix. But as soon as we get confirmation of any of that, you will be the first to know at home. And we are moments away from getting a formation lap underway. Of course, no second qualifying session. It is straight into another 25% race. Not 25%, 25 lap race, aka 50% race. And let us know in the live chats who you are here supporting, who you want to win, and where you are watching from in the world.
Yes, well, very nice to see the global reach. It is dry, which I think quite a few drivers will be pretty happy about. Reverse grid, full points, remember, for this race as well. So we could see a big swing potentially in the championship battle one way or the other. Tim Mike and El Reguri starting fairly close to each other on the grid.
They certainly are, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them come to blows once again. I wonder if El Reguri will have the same sportsmanship that Tim McMardick offered him as we headed through the Grand Prix. But all those questions are still to be answered. 25 laps of racing about to come your way. We've got Hugh Chains in chat cheering for Tim McMardick for the championship from Missouri in the US. It's, of course, a very global championship here as well.
Yes, that's a big one there. We're going straight into stateside. Home race for a couple of our drivers as well.
Certainly, it's home race, of course, for the Haas team as well. I think, if I remember correctly, it's not far from one of their bases over in the US. So it will be down to Dragonflies and the replacement for the Haas team stepping in for Lolly Noba this week. Of course, Duncan trying to score some good points. One thing we haven't done a full rundown of who's replacing who today. So, of course, Matt Gallagher stepping in for Infratic in the Ferrari, Adam Sanderson or Bevan Duttler as he comes up on your screens in the Aston Martin for Dekai Vince. Duncan in the Haas in place of Lolly Noba, and Pondon steps into the Williams in place of Ricky 03. And that is how the drivers line up. More people cheering in the chat for Ben, and actually I've only seen people cheering in the chat for Ben. So a lot of support for the man from down under.
From Switzerland, wow.
Ooh.
That's a nice one as well. I'd love to see a Swiss Grand Prix, although I believe motorsport is banned in that country. I could be wrong on that, though.
We'd have to borrow WRC's snow tyres, I think.
Yeah. May need a few tweaks to the regulations to make that one work.
Regulations are there to be broken, as I think a few drivers might have said, over at some point in history. But as you can see, here we go. We have got the singular light lit above our drivers. That means the formation lap will be underway, and as we thought, Bushy Ants will lead us away from Matty D, from Mr. Dale, from Duncan. Matt Gallagher will start in P5, just ahead of Punju and his teammate Razin Chai. Pondon starts in P8. Viper and Aguera, the two Mercedes teammates, line up in 9th and 10th. Adam Sanderson in P11. Dragonfly is heading Gullis, Team of Mardik at 12th through 14th. And then Safso, Tom, Ere Guri, GB, Alex Gillen and Meraki round out your starting order for today. And the Aston Martin and the Kick Sauber of GB and Matty D, respectively, have already been disqualified from this formation lap.
Yeah, failed to make it out of the first sector, which isn't a particularly good omen. Bushy Ants has shown some very good pace since his return, so he could be one to watch from pole position. Razin Shai is the highest placed, probably big name that we're seeing in 7th position, was battling for a podium, could have potentially won the first race, had he not had that contact with himself, Alex Gillen and GB68, who is currently sitting quite lonely on the grid down in 18th place. Nagera from 10th as well, slap bang in the middle there is El Reguri, the reigning champion, just the 7 wins to his name, 15 podiums. We'll be looking to add to that today.
Yeah, El Reguri proving once again the consistency is quite often what wins you championships. It's not necessarily winning the race that is more important. It is consistently finishing in those higher points positions. That also is what Team Mark has shown over the course of this season as well. We've got to talk about drivers' mentality heading into this race now. The grid has been mixed up as quite a few drivers are getting disqualified. A little bit of a touchy-feely with a few other drivers as well as we head through our way. But Bushy Ant starting from pole position, of course, with that DNF to his name earlier. There's got to be nerves in that Alpine cockpit.
You would think so, but Bushy Ants is a canny operator. You know, he's been there, done it before. May have been a little while ago, but he knows how to get a good result in the Creator Series, so I don't think he'll have too many concerns. Maybe the drivers behind, Matty D13, Mr. Dale, Duncan, haven't started this high in a Creator Series race before. They've got some big names that will be coming through the pack very, very quickly behind them. They might be the ones that are sweating just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if this was the other way around and Hayden started from pole position, I think he'd be claiming it as a pole. Oh no, wait, he has done that before. He's claimed pole position for a reverse grid. Not that we ever mentioned that on grids at all.
Absolutely shameless. If we're going down that logic, yeah, Bushy Ants gets a pole position as well.
He does indeed. Well, Tom, our drivers are lining up on the grid. We await the McLaren and I believe one of the Williams just pulling up in the rear of Meraki. But I'll let you take us away for race number 2.
Well, the big names towards the back as we wait with anticipation for the 5 red lights to come on, and it will be an Alpine Kick Sauber front row, 3 lights, 5 lights ahead of the drivers. And we are underway with Hayden Gullis getting off the grid very, very quickly indeed. Now we're going with everybody else. Good start for the leading trio. It's out of Haas and Duncan potentially thinking about a move up the inside. No, it's Matty trying to swing it around the outside, pick up a couple of places. He could pick up a cropper though, because he's been squeezed right over to the right-hand side by that Haas car. Got to be careful of his teammate as well, who's already got ahead of Punju in that lead McLaren car. Down up towards turn number 5 we go. Matty D13 sat right in the 6th with Bushy Ants underneath the rear wing, now pulling over to the left-hand side and around the outside we go. But look at the cluster of cars behind.
Yeah, everybody's starting to get involved. There's 2 cars in the wall, though, in the McLaren of Punju, the Scuderia Ferrari of Razin Chai, Hayden Gullis and GB getting caught up there as well. We had a car park in the castle last week, and now we have a car park in Las Vegas. Drivers will continue through, no safety car being pulled out this time around, but Razin Chai has had his luck go from bad to worse this afternoon as Matty from P1 Podcast has slotted in behind, and I wonder if he may have caused some of that carnage.
And look at the drivers that were caught up in that. Both Ferraris, both RBs. As I think there's a Haas getting very wobbly on the exit, coming through turn number 13. That was Dragonfly's Code Brown moment, part number 2 in this race, and losing a whole host of places. Tiamat Marduk managed to stay out of trouble. He's already up into 7th place.
Yes, indeed, and look, more importantly, Ari Gary down in 14th. He hasn't been able to make the monumental climb that Timo Marduk has done from this race start, but it's not over yet. Adam Sanderson and Duncan now coming back in the McLaren car, but I think they're both going to slot in behind. Dragonfly's pipping out Pondon up for P5 as the man from down under once again goes down to P6. Dragonfly's up to P5, just holding on to the position. Lots of people further back as Timo Marduk gets past his fellow Aussie and up to P6.
Could be P5 very, very shortly, going around the outside. Potentially Dragonfly's having to back out of that one. Nagara's had a very good start as well from 10th on the grid. He could already be up into the podium places, making mincemeat of Dale, who goes for a spin, going through and clatters in to the innocent Haas. I think that was Duncan facing the wrong way. Surely someone's going to smash into him. No, they're not, but we do have a virtual safety car.
Do indeed. Dale facing the wrong way. 10-second penalty coming his way for that collision with Dragonfly's Dark Viper, picking up a 10-second as well as he's come around the corner at full steam and probably headed into the back of Mr. Dale there. Down in P18 is the Red Bull racing car. He splits the 2 Scuderia Ferraris, and this is just a virtual safety car. No call out for Bert Mylander just yet, but a sigh of relief for Bushy Ants as he still holds that advantage. Himself and Matty D have a 1-second advantage over Naguera, who's had an almighty race start. But speaking of almighty race starts, Timo Marduk up 10 positions from where he once started already in just a lap and a half. The lights have gone green. We go racing once again, and Timo Marduk begins his charge part 2 as he sees Naguera in front of him.
And Dragonflies is severely wounded with that front wing damage he picked up. Matty D and Bushy Ant still debating 1st and 2nd places. The Kick Sauber holding it at the moment. Meraki getting ahead of Dark Viper to move inside the top 10. A lot of drivers with 10-second penalties. Pondon pushing Dragonflies down the order. I think the Aston Martin of Devon Butler wants to relegate the Haas even further. Duncan getting involved. There's Alex Gillen as well, just appearing in the background in that 2nd Kick Sauber car. Tim Marduk dropping behind Pondon, who's come out of absolutely nowhere. But is there contact there? That was a massive pinch point. And somehow they come out clean, and somehow Tim Marduk comes out ahead.
Does indeed. Naguera has also picked out Matty D further up the field as he manages to slip in to P2. Matty D still in with a podium opportunity though, as you can see further back. Adam Sanderson and Pondon going wheel to wheel for P5 in towards the penultimate corner. But Matty D, of course, leading a lap last time out in Baku, finds himself in a good position as things stand. He's got Naguera and Bushy Ants in front of him, and all he has to do now is hold position and try a charge on the last lap. But I have a feeling safety cars may come and play a menace to that man's plan.
Yes, and he's got a lot of quick drivers wanting to ruin the day of that Alpine car. Meraki making up another place, the pole sitter, race 1 winner, now holding position number 9. El Rey in 11th at the moment as well, recovering from just about managing to avoid the absolute chaos that we saw down into turn number 5 on the opening lap. That is very early for a 3-second corner cutting penalty for Duncan.
Yeah, Matty's over the team radio again. 23 flawless laps from here. Last the first challenge for himself. Well, he's already up to P17, pipping out Gullis, Viper and Dale. So he's only got 16 positions more to go. And if he wants 23 flawless laps, he's got to lock in. Tommy, as engineer, will be guiding him through each and every turn, I'm sure of it.
Absolutely, yes. Tim Marduk closing on the leading trio. Bushy Ants trying to make a break for it, but that gap's still 0.3 of a second. And now Matty D getting back past the Mercedes of Nagara, and for the price of two for the price of one, gets past Bushy Ants for the lead of the race. Tim Marduk, a second half further back, has managed to drop Adam Sanderson, Devon Butler in that Aston Martin in 5th.
Yeah, he has indeed. Bushy Ants trying to hold off Nogueira there as they make their way through. Nogueira looks to the inside line on one, not one, but two again. They're 3 wide coming through the final corner. Nogueira up towards the top of the leaderboards, rather. Bushy Ants just holding his defence from Matty D. As we continue through this Grand Prix, Nogueira leads the championship, keeping his championship hopes alive. Bushy Ants and Matty D, Team Malik still in P4, and this is the battle further back as Razinchai pips out Safso as they're 3 wide in towards the first corner. GB getting involved as well, pipping out the V-Carb, and Safso and Hayden Gullis reunited once again.
But his big names battling well down the order. Someone that managed to avoid all of the carnage was Alex Gillen, who is inside the top 5. So we've spoken about Tim Malik's excellent start. Well, Alex Gillen started on the back row, and he's into 5th position as well. And right at the back of this little train is Meraki as well. So the drivers that finished 1st and 2nd in the previous race, 1 staying out of trouble, and 2 making some good progress early on.
They certainly are indeed. It's all about a race of endurance in races like this. It doesn't necessarily seem it, but 25 laps, full focus at incredible speeds for our drivers is in hell of a demand for each and every one of them, especially for the young man of Matty D that finds himself in P3. He'll have help from his teammate, I'm sure, in a few laps' time as Alex Gillen tries to close down the gap to Tia McMurdoch that stands in front of him. But Meraki, of course, starting in P20, he's up to P8 as well. So the drivers that start in the back are starting to filter their way through.
Tom on the move, he's in the groove, he's already got past both Haas cars, wants to have a piece of the Red Bull of Ouray as well, the reigning champion, could be defences. Look at the Haas, I believe that is Dragonfly's trying to go up the inside the reigning champ as well. We've got an Aston Martin way off the circuit into turn 14. That is Devon Butler losing a whole host of places.
What has happened there in towards turns 14, 15 and 16? The Aston Martin facing completely the wrong way, and he'll find himself down at P18 just for the courtesy of that little mistake and a lot of positions lost. He'll be begging that a safety car comes out at some point in this race to try and pull him back towards the likes of Matty and Hayden Gullis that stand in front of him as Bushy Yance round the outside of Nogueira down towards turn number 5, and the Alpine once again retaking the race lead here in Vegas.
Alex Gillen relegated into a Williams sandwich as Meraki is up into 5th place, pushing Gillen down into 6th. Pondon doing a very commendable job as well to hold on to these 2 very quick drivers indeed. And then further 2 seconds back to Tom, Elroy Guri, Dragonflies, Punju and Duncan. That's Tim McMurdoch thinking about a move around the outside of Matty D. Not of regulation overtaking point, but Tim McMurdoch, he doesn't usually stick to convention, does he?
Certainly doesn't. He's a man that likes to invent new things from time to time. Maybe try the odd move down the inside, see if it works, test the waters. So you will. And I think at the moment he's got his eyes set on this race win. If things stay the way they are, and of course Ari Guri all the way down in P. I'm trying to find him on the timing course now. I've lost it. P9. There we go. I think if he manages to get up towards the top 2 positions, Ari finishes where he is at the moment. I think this could be a secured championship for Team Modic, because that's all in the future. Team Modic 1 place up. Matty D succumbs down to P4, and it's Ben Daly up to the podium positions.
Ben has his eyes on one thing and one thing only, and that is position number 1. He senses a real opportunity here. Meraki and Alex Gillen still 2.5 seconds off the back of this group. If he can get into the lead of the race and try and control the pace, I think he'll be a very happy Australian.
I think he certainly will be. He is doubling down in the double down wildcard, and I'm almost certain that he's got his eyes set on the grand prize here in Vegas. He's got, well, still 20 laps to go in this Grand Prix. As we said, it's quite a long slog when you get into these sort of situations. You've got to keep your focus about you, especially with the entire field in a medium tyre sandwich. Bushy and Mrs. Dale, both of them on the medium tyres. GB getting past Dragonflies there for P13. But tyres are going to start to come into it. Of course, we saw people starting to pit on lap 6 in the last race. Are we going to see much of the same again?
Yeah, the soft tyres have proven to be a little bit rubbish. They give you that pace in the first couple of laps. The grip as well, Duncan struggling for grip there through the switchback corners and picking up another 3-second penalty. That's 6 seconds worth of penalties in 6 laps. That's averaging 1 corner cutting warning per lap, and now he's going to be at the mercy potentially of the most recent winner in the Creative Series, most recent new winner in the Creative Series, GB68.
Is indeed. Can he hold on? Can he keep the Haas car in front? The rear end slides out for Duncan. Those tyres starting to ever degrade as we continue through this Grand Prix, and GB says thank you very much. That position is well and truly mine, and the Aston Martin up to P12. Duncan will be left in his rear view mirrors. Hopefully Dragonflies, his teammate, will try and help him out. And speaking of teammates, Alex Gillen, Matty D reunited on track as Gillen gets past Meraki for P5 on our timing boards.
They are working together extremely well. They've absolutely dropped Pondon in the second Williams car into the pits. That is going to be Matty D13. That means Alex Gillen and Meraki's wait to get the DRS from Tim McMurdoch in front will last a little bit longer. 2 seconds the gap now. It was 3.5 seconds a couple of laps ago. So very, very impressive efforts from the pair of them. But as we said, these soft tyres seem a little bit rubbish. Matty into the pits. I tell you, he's still moving nicely. It's Tom getting back ahead of El Guri, but both of them just bunched up a little bit behind the cork in the bottle. That is that second Williams of Pondon.
Certainly are indeed. We talk strategy from time to time as well. Obviously, a lot of drivers starting on the soft tyre, but we'll wait and see. Tom going past. Are we going to see a dive down the inside by Ari Guri? We almost certainly are. Pondon has left 2 for the price of 1. He's allowed Ari Guri past. He'll have to settle for P8 for now, but Pondon, I don't think he would have liked that move as the Red Bull racing car dived down his inside. He's got very wobbly though, through the twists and turns of turns 7, 8 and 9, and I think he's struggling for any grip on this circuit. But just going back to what we talked about strategy just a couple of seconds ago, because we saw the 2-stop, it was kind of dry to wet tyres for the end of the last race. I'm almost expecting the 2-stop, soft, medium to be the strategy for a lot of our drivers here if we don't see rain.
Completely agree. Carbon copy of what we saw in the previous race without the little sprinkling of the water from the sky. Pondon doing a decent job there to hold on to the coattails of Elray and Tom. Look at this. Tim McMurdoch started from P14, now leads the race at the end of lap number 7. Absolutely flies past Bushiance and Nagara like a tracer bullet and is into the lead. Oh, that was Meraki very late on the brakes down into 14, 15 and 16 numbers. Very difficult.
Yeah, I think replicating what Alex Gillen did to him last time out, but I think the Williams is holding on to the position for now. And Tim McMurdoch with the race win, I think, according to my napkin math, would almost certainly win the championship with the other 2 drivers in the positions that they find themselves in at the moment. Ari Guri, I think, would have to finish on the podium to keep his championship hopes alive. But of course, we'll bring you confirmation as the race does continue to develop. But Bushiance is not going to let him have it easy. Bushiance up to P1 once again. The DRS very powerful here in Vegas, and it's handing its favour to the Alpine at the moment.
I don't think Ben will be too disappointed. He's going to be working with a couple of drivers that are very, very quick in their own right. The only problem is they're working against 2 other very, very quick drivers in Meraki and Alex Gillen, who have been so far very, very efficient with their DRS swapping. So watch this space. The gap's still hovering around 2 seconds. It's stabilised in the past couple of laps. How long until we see Meraki and Alex Gillen cruise up to the back of this trio? Will it be before the pit stop window?
Well, I think that's the question, whether the drivers in front realise what is happening behind them, realise Meraki and Gillen are converging on them at a considerable rate and not to dive into that pit lane to try and prevent them from getting DRS. Ari Guri practically pushing Tom through the twists and turns of the corners here, and the Red Bull not letting any love lost as we run down towards turn 13 and then towards the trio of corners of 14, 15 and 16, trying to push him through. Tim McMurdoch still holding on to the race win from Nagara, as you see on the timing boards on the left-hand side. I don't think Guri has the straight line speed, though, to try and hold off Tom. Tom, of course, without the DRS, is still holding position.
Yeah, Elray not burning any battery from what we could see there down into turn number 14. So obviously content at sitting right behind that Alpine car. We start lap number 9 with Tim McMurdoch reclaiming the lead from Bushiance, who has also lost out to Nagara. That gap still 2 seconds from 3rd back to 4th. Now Elray Guri says it's go time as he gets past the, he gets past the Alpine of Tom, because Tom has dived into the pits.
He has indeed. Fresh tyres going on that Alpine, almost certainly going to beat mediums, and it is indeed for Tom. He'll drop down positions left, right and centre, probably come out just behind the Aston Martin of Devon Butler, as Mr. Devon gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. I wonder what has happened there to the Red Bull racing car.
He's made an absolute Horlicks of that. No idea where he's managed to pick a 10-second penalty up for corner cutting. That is very impressive in its own right from Mr. Dale, as the yellow flags are out in the middle sector. No, they have just gone back in. No, they're out again. Is that a car going slowly, potentially Punju?
I think it is either Punja or one of the drivers in that train of cars. I can see on the track map, Mr. Dale, of course, dead last and just ahead of our leading pack. You can see him heading down through turn 13 towards sector 3 at the moment. I think it was the trio of corners, 7, 8 and 9, that he's just completely skipped and got that 10-second penalty for. And this is Matty trying to weave and break the slipstream for Dragonflies behind him.
I think calling it a weave is maybe a little bit kind. Looked like a bit of a back-end loss as he came out of turn number 9. Here we go. Tim Bartlett from the front to the back of this train. Who is it going to be? Nagara or Bushiance? Into the braking zone we go. Bushiance on the medium tyres compared to the softs for the pair behind him and gets the lead back. Alex Gillen and Meraki closing all the time, though, just inside DRS range now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing a few strategies, a few engineers, well, going through their brains, racking their brains trying to decide whether the 1-stop or the 2-stop is faster at this present moment in time. Can they extend the softs to a usable race distance? I think as we increase over lap 10 here, we're going to say yes, we can take them to lap 12 and then do 13 laps on the set of mediums. And that is where our races are going to be at the moment. I think Timo Mardik frustrated with the two drivers that stand in front of him, Neguera and Bushiance, not necessarily playing the game that he wants to play.
Yeah, Ben usually likes to be the second car in a DRS train. We've got a yellow flag and that's Dale retiring. Is that on track? Yes, it is. And the safety car is out 10 laps in. And we have our first visit from Bert Mylander in the second race. That is not good news for Tom the Bomb, who came in a couple of laps ago, down in 17th place at the moment. He's going to lose out big time.
Not an ideal situation. Dark Viper taking much benefit for that car, diving into the pit lane in the last time of asking it. Tom very slowly down the start finish straight there. He does. Front left down. No, I think that's much too visual. It's popped back onto the car.
That'll be music to the ears of him, doesn't that? Oh, now he's in the pits.
That would explain why the front wing reappeared.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well snuffed out there. That's brilliant from yourself there, TK. Good investigative work.
Hey, we cut to Vegas, and I'm sure we see a magician or two. But of course, if you want to come play F1 24, you can do as well. It's free this weekend, and if you want to buy the game after experiencing the joys that our creators seen this weekend as well, because I can confirm I love racing on this game. I really enjoy it. I play on controller, and you can get it for 60% off on PC and console as well.
100%. Get an opportunity to race around the Las Vegas circuit, see if you can do any better than the drivers, not only in the Creator Series, but the real-life F1 drivers as well.
Yep, it is indeed. Let's keep an eye as the drivers head in towards the pit lane. Make sure nobody sticks on those hard tyres, because I thought we saw Neguera fall foul of it in the last race. Bushiance will be the first, leading our parade in towards the pit lane. Timo Mardik, of course, P2, Neguera P3. Keep an eye on the tyres. I'm almost certain, I was going to say, I was almost certain everybody will go on towards the mediums, because Bushiance, starting on the mediums, is forced onto the softs if he still wants to commit to the one-stop.
Yeah, not good news for Bushy. Matty D now inherits the lead of the race. Where is Tom the Bomb? Oh no, he was into the pits, wasn't he? So he's going to be right at the back of the pack. Elray Guri is in 6th position. I believe he came in right as the safety car came out, so he's picked up a couple of places as well.
Yeah, I think a few drivers are benefiting from this safety car period. They are using it to their advantage. I think that's a front wing change for Dragonflies, and of course serving that 10-second penalty that he got for the collision. I think with Dale earlier on in the race. Of course, Dale facing the wrong way, spinning out as we headed through the first sector, and that is what caused the Haskar to come to blows with a 10-second penalty to his name. Tom managing to get past the Haskar round the start-finish straight, but Bert Mylander called into action once again, and as to be expected on a circuit like this.
And somewhat surprisingly, we're nearly at half race distance in this race, and the two drivers that started on pole and in second place in a reverse grid race are still holding down first and second, albeit they're in a different order, but that's very impressive from both of them. Good work from Matty, good work from Bushy. They have got Tim McMartin, though, in hot pursuit of the pair of them, chasing a second Creator Series crown.
Not only have they got Tim McMartin behind them, they've got Neguera behind them, they've got Gillen behind them, they've got Meraki behind them, and they've got Elray Guri behind them. I mean, and Razin as well. We'll throw him into the mix as well. But what a lineup of drivers to have behind you. An almighty amount of pressure that is going to be applied to both the Kicksauber and the Alpine car as well.
Yeah, it was like you were going through the Creator Series Roll of Fame there. It was a good one there. You got how many is that? You got 5 Creator Series champions behind them. Plus you got GB right at the back of that train as well. Pondon's shown some decent pace. Neguera is incredibly quick. Yeah, I think for the first time in this race, I would imagine, Matty D and Bushy's just starting to have sweaty palms.
Yeah, Timo Mardik over the team radio exclaiming that he got very lucky off the race start, and I think he's starting to realise what sort of position he finds himself in at the moment. I think if we can't be far off having some live standings up as well, according to the safety car positions, and if memory serves me correctly, Timo Mardik needs to be 56 points ahead come the end of this race to secure the championship.
Yeah, some mental maths going to be going on in the background, which for some of us is a slight weak point. Could be a bit concerning for us in the commentary box trying to work that one out.
Well, yeah, I haven't got the napkins. I've forgotten them, so there are no notes, unfortunately, for this afternoon.
Calculator anywhere?
Only on my phone. I think that's a bit rude to be able to try and pull that out mid-broadcast to try and figure out the standings. We have got a man on the inside, though, that is saving all of our bacons and doing the calculations for us, and we will hopefully have them on your screen in the next couple of moments. But Matty D has probably added to his list of laps led, albeit under safety car, adding to the one from Baku last week.
Yes, but he stayed right at the front of the field for a lot longer than maybe even he would have imagined, been in this lead fight for the whole of the Grand Prix. Now, there are the live standings, and well, the pictures tell that all the tale you need. 53 points, the gap between Tim Malik and El Raiguri. He's a couple of points shy of picking up that title, and Meraki only a point further back.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't think Tim McMardick finishing P2 in this race would be enough, because if El Raiguri stayed in P7, that would only afford him 2 more points, I think. I think there's a maximum of 50. Is there 54 or 56 up for grab? Memory serves me something incorrectly. That's 54. 54 up for grabs, 55 to confirm. Just had that confirmed in our ear as well. So yeah, he only needs 2 more points to secure it. So P2 would be enough to secure the championship if El Raiguri finishes 7th or below.
How ironic could this be? Alex Gillen helping Tiamat Malik become the first double champion in the Creator Series. That would be very interesting indeed. Safety car in this. That's the message we wanted to see. It's going to be Matty D backing the pack up. Watch out for bushy ounce on those soft compound tyres, though.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to go through. Matty D will lead us through. Bushy ounce from Tiamat Malik. What are the tyres? Are everybody on? Apologies. Missed them all through as well. People just in the chat asking for all of those. But it is going to be soft tyres leading us away. But Mylander will peel in towards the pit lane, and shortly those with yellow flags will go green. We will go racing on lap 13 of 25. We'll have 13 laps to go. Matty now goes around the final corner. He'll lead us away with Bushy Ants well and truly in tow. Tim Malik has to now play the patient waiting game to try and figure out when he can strike on the Alpine.
He went very early there, though, Matty, potentially catching Bushy out a little bit as those soft tyres come up to temperature. He's going to be absolutely rapid in the first couple of laps as the safety car comes in. Is he thinking about making a move now to try and get the lead of the race back, because he's fearing the threat of Tiamat Malik sat just underneath the rear wing of that Alpine car? They retain the status quo, remain in formation, though.
Does indeed. It's still formations. We head through the first few twists and turns. That's Matty putting, I think, Safso in towards the barrier. I think I saw damage coming out of the V-Cub. The Ferrari not playing games here this afternoon. He wanted 23 clean laps of racing. Maybe we'll put that with a little bit of an asterisk, whether that was clean or not.
Yes, a debatable one. Nogueira getting past Tim Malik, though. Was there a mistake potentially for the McLaren getting that place back? This is not a position you want to go side by side, and the McLaren comes out on top.
Certainly does. Adds to another layer of his championship battle, because Nogueira still in a position, if they finish up towards the podium position, to try and put a challenge to Tiamat Malik in the final 2 rounds of the Create Series. Bushy Ants not standing on ceremony. He's going to go for a move on Matty D down towards turn number 14. And the Alpine once again retaking the race lead. Tiamat Malik's going to follow him through on the inside line. Are we going to have 2 or 3 wide here in towards turn 14? We're going to have 3 wide. Is a McLaren envisioned in the kick Saubers as Alex Gillen and Matty D come together? Tiamat Malik coming out on top, but the 2 kick Saubers still together as Alex Gillen going to go down the inside of his teammate Matty D. Nogueira's going to make it 3 wide through the final corner. Meraki's there as well as we start lap 14 of 25. Everybody involved in the lead of this pack.
Matty getting shuffled out, Meraki coming through as well, nowhere near the racing line or the apex through turns 1 and 2. El Raiguri helping himself around the outside as well, tumbling through the field is the kick Sauber now. Alex Gillen with his sights firmly set on Tiamat Malik in second.
Certainly is. Gillen knows the game he played. He won, of course, last time out in Season 7. He knows this track well. Meraki having the door slammed on him by Nogueira as Razin Chai tries to hold off El Raiguri, but El Raiguri up to P6, managing to, well, hold on to one glimmer of hope of the championship as he continues through this Grand Prix. He'll have to try and hope that Meraki allows him by, allows the Red Bull to try and gain another position on the Australian that stands in P2 at the moment. Bushy Ant still surprising he hasn't got a nosebleed from where he finds himself in P1 at the moment.
100%, yeah. GB getting past the kick Sauber as well. The Green Machine up into 8th place, setting his sights on Razin Chai. Look at this, from first down to 8th. Very, very competitive indeed. Pondon in 10th, just ahead of Hayden Gullis. Then a bit of a gap back to Punju in 12th, who's boxing in Tom and Matty P1 either.
Yeah, as well, of course, this would be, well, should the unforgivable or the unmentionable happen, should Bushy Ants get a race victory, the first time he's won since Season 3, but Gillen and Team at Marduk managing to find their way past the Alpine here. Of course, the soft tyres will have to be taken an incredibly long time. Everybody around him on the medium tyre. Bushy wanted to go long on his opening stint. The safety car forced his hand here in Vegas, so we round the final corner once again. Nogueira's going to try and go down the inside of the Alpine in towards turn number 1. Is he going to try the inside of Gillen? No, he's too far back, but the Alpine will put up a challenge as we head into turns 2, 3 and 4. It's on the inside. Bushy Ants, they come together. Fortunate not to lock wheels, and Bushy Ants, I think, inevitably has to give up that fight.
Bit of a bump and run. Thankfully, nobody pointing in the wrong direction. Meraki having to defend from the reigning champion. Guri thinking about a move around the outside into turn number 5. Can Aray be braver on the brakes? He certainly can, and pushes Meraki down into 6th.
Yeah, unfortunate for Meraki there, of course, winning race 1, securing pole position in the qualifying session as well. But we continue through the field. Tim and Marduk from Gillen, from Nogueira, the front 3, like the old guard, have paraded through these streets before. They know what to expect. But Shians, of course, on his heroic return to the F1 Create Series, looks to try and find glory here with 10.5 laps of racing to go. Aray Guri trying to keep the championship alive, and Meraki trying to go back-to-back in the streets of Vegas. It is all to play for him.
You've got to watch out for the reigning champion, though. Aray looks like he's in the mood. He's got the bit between his teeth as Meraki is pushed further down the order. Through goes Raz and Chai, and the pole sitter and the winner from race number 1, dropping almost to the back of this queue. Alex Gillen is going to get ahead of Tim at Marduk. Nogueira wanting to follow suit as well. Could this be the championship leader? Pushed down a couple of places. Yes, it will. Ben not fighting that around the outside sensibly enough, you would imagine, and slots into 3rd.
I think Ben knows with Nogueira and Aray Guri where they stand at the moment. Of course, not to mention Meraki is now in that championship fight. But that is Matty D facing the wrong way through turns 14, 15 and 16. So the kicks out, but no longer there to support his teammate. Front left end plate missing for Matty D, as well as the other Matty down in P1, down in P15. Trying to battle with Adam Sanson. Sasso thinks about a move down the inside of turn 1. We'll have the outside line for turns 2 and 3. But the inside line will return once again for turn 4 if he can keep it alongside the Scuderia Ferrari. He has been able to do so, and that will force his hand. Both of them get DRS. They try and charge down Dragonflies, and Adam Sanderson that stand in front of him. The Scuderia just has to settle for P16 for now.
Couple of places swapping hands as well. Tim at Marduk back up into 2nd, getting ahead of Nogueira, and GB is up into 6th place now. So watch out for last week's winner. Still very much in the game to pick up a 2nd win on the trot.
Yeah, it'll be almost a heroic return for GB. Of course, 2 race wins back-to-back in back-to-back weeks. And I think that'll be an almighty achievement for him to do so. This will be race start number 66 for him in the Creator Series. And to get 2 wins in the last 2 races, I think he'd add that to his stat sheet. The donut got removed last week. Can we make it a 2 for 2? Matty's retired. Oh, Matty is out, and we have got a safety car. What has happened to Matt Gallagher?
I think he's crashed coming through the very tricky turn number 12. The Ferrari in the wall on the exit. Potentially some contact with Matty D. So the 2 Matties almost coming to blows there. That would be a little bit ironic if that is what happened. But that is going to be absolutely delighting Bushy Ants. He was doing the safety car dance before it came out, and now gets to come into the pits to get on a fresh set of boots, you would imagine.
Now the question is, how many other people are heading into that pit lane to put on soft? I think Gillen, Team and Marduk might be heading in to the pit lane as we wait and see for confirmation. Nogueira deciding to stay out. I think everybody else diving into the pit lane. As you can see, that wild flurry of position changes happening on the timing board on the left-hand side. Devon Butler staying out, Dragonfly staying out, Sasso staying out, so Gillen below, everybody else pitting. We've got 15 people in the pit lane.
4 drivers rolling the dice. You can see Tim at Marduk on the medium tyres. I believe Alex Gillen was on the yellow stripe rubber as well. Has anyone favoured the soft tyres? They've been a little bit rubbish so far. I'd be surprised if anyone has taken the punt on the red stripe qualifying tyres. 4 drivers staying out. That's going to be interesting to see how quickly Alex Gillen and Tim at Marduk can negotiate them. Bushy going for another set of softs.
As is Gullis, Pondon and Dark Viper GT. Don't forget they can do probably 6 or 7 competitive laps on here. We've seen it for a lot of our drivers. They went in after 6 laps. They managed to make them last to a competitive degree. The safety car's not going to go in this lap. It will probably go in when we start lap 19. So that's only 7 laps to go. Softs are probably workable if they look after them under the safety car.
The mediums just look like a far better race tyre, though, don't you think? Unless Bushy doesn't have any mediums left, which I don't think that is true.
No, because he's only used 1 section. Unless he went for the softer tyre allocation, that could be the potential.
potentially, I personally, and I'm certainly not at the skill level of these drivers. Devon Butler questioning why they're pitting all together. Well, they're going to have 6 lap fresher tyres than you, Adam.
And if you take into consideration, of course, a lot of our drivers expecting or prepared to do 100% races in these events. 6 laps translate to 12 laps over the course of 100% races. These are only 50% for the wildcard here this afternoon. So actually, it's probably a considerable tyre delta amongst the 6 laps versus new mediums. Maybe Adam Sanderson's forgotten what percent race we're doing today.
Potentially, that would be a little bit embarrassing. I doubt that's what he would have thought, because it does say it quite loud and clear in the middle of your screen, lap 17 of 25. So a bit of an embarrassing blunder to make if that is the case. Alex Gillen is the leader of the drivers that have come into the pits, and I think he will be chomping at the bit to get into first position as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think the championship is slowly falling away from Team Muddock to secure it in Vegas. It would have been a dream for him to be able to secure it here. He may have taken a gamble, but it hasn't paid off so far. But who knows, we have got 7 laps still to go. It could all come his way, as fortune does often favour the bold. Hayden Gullis there missing part of his front wing from whatever way he may have damaged it, choosing not to repair it in his pit stop, but instead bolt on a set of the soft tyre, maybe make some wing changes, and of course he will be looking to go again when the safety car peels into the pit lane.
Which hopefully will be at the end of this lap, giving us a 7-lap sprint to the end, barring any more safety cars for any future whoopsies that we might see from some of the 18 remaining drivers. Tim McMahon versus Alex Gillen on the restart. How do you think you play this if you're Ben? You see there is a golden opportunity to win the championship now and take all the pressure off you going into the final couple of races. Do you risk it all for a chocolate biscuit, or do you just hold station, collect the points and move on to next week?
I think the issue he's got here is, whilst yes, Ariguri's down to P7, he's got to consider Nogueira up in P1, Maraki's down in P11 on fresh tyres. This is still all up in the air. Those 3 or 4 drivers are still in with the chance of taking this championship home. Maraki on 117 points, Nogueira's on 107, Elray's on 120, all in the mix together. So I think there's a lot still up in the air. Anybody can potentially win it.
Yeah, for Tim McMahon, you've just got to make sure that the stranglehold that you've got on the championship doesn't collapse like Manchester City against Tottenham Hotspur. If anybody understands that, then well done.
You can be friends with Tom in the booth.
Not even a Spurs fan.
Speaking of that, I think it's probably about time we introduce ourselves if we haven't already. Live standings on your screen. We'll make this very brief as safety car is in this lap. Tim Marduk 177, Nogueira 132, overtaking Ariguri on 130, Maraki on 122, and Alex Gillen on 120 as well. So there's 5 drivers still in this championship fight as well. Just very quickly, top night for myself and Tom Wilkinson alongside me in the booth as we get ready to go racing for what is going to be a very dramatic sprint to the end of this Grand Prix.
Take your pick. It is like a raffle. A lot of drivers with the potential of winning this race, but only one will come out on. And there is potentially a championship to decide as well. Nogueira back in the pack up, going very, very late. We didn't see that from Matty earlier on. As we cut the beam to start lap number 19, we are underway again, and Safso getting straight into his work, trying to get up the inside of Dragonflies. Tim Malik is around the outside of Alex Gillen, who's trying to sniff in there as well and get his nose in their position. That is potentially not particularly welcome. Tim Malik sending it up the inside for the pair of them, though.
Yep, fantastic move from Tim Marduk. He got the early restart. He planned that to perfection. He's left Alex Gillen onto a buffer with Safso in P5. I say that as Gillen manages to trump out the V-Cup almost immediately. He's up to P5 now, following the Australian through this restarted phase. GB trying to hold off Bushy Yance further back as there's 2x2x2. This is Noah's Ark here in Las Vegas. My apologies. Tim Marduk now up to P3. Gillen P4. Dragonflies makes his way through. Safso drops to P7. Bushy Yance holding off El Reguri. And once again, the championship switching ways with every single twist and turn in Vegas.
Suddenly it's in the favour of Tim McMardock again. Devon Butler and Nogueira duelling over first and second place. Ben always have to be careful of Alex Gillen sat in his rear view mirror as Eric Gurry does get ahead of Bushy Yance, who has fallen through the field on this restart. Is this an opportunity for Adam Sanderson to lead an F1 Creator Series race? He balls over to the inside. The Green Machine and the Aston Martin is going to pull ahead of the Mercedes, you would imagine, under braking Nogueira. Is he going to be defenceless? Is he going to be brave on the brakes? No, the Aston Martin's there before we even get to the braking zone.
Beautiful move from Adam Sanderson there, getting up to P1. Of course, if we go back-to-back for Aston Martin, it will be GB that won last week At the moment, Adam Sanderson in the driving seat here in Vegas, but the bump draft by Nogueira heading through the final corner, and Mercedes wanting as much speed as he could possibly drag out of the car in front of him, as he knows who stands behind him. Team Mardik and Alex Gillen, the quartet as they make their way through. GB's getting involved, as is everyone, all the way down to Dark Viper. The top 14 all within a second of each other as we start lap 20 of 25.
Here we go, Nogueira wanting to get the lead back. Will Tim McMardock try and follow through? It's actually Nogueira very tentative up the inside. He was a 50-50 shout, and that's left him vulnerable to first Tim McMardock and potentially Alex Gillen on the exit as well. Through goes the Papaya McLaren car. Alex Gillen following in the footsteps of Ben. Can he get that kick Sauber up the inside? He's got a little bit of a look, and I think he is going to hang it around the outside and give himself an opportunity up the inside into turn number 9 to push the Mercedes further down.
Beautiful move from Gillen. Outside became the inside. It was the patient waiting game. He didn't force himself down the inside. And when that move opened up, he's found himself up amongst the podium positions. Team Mardik in P2, but Adam Sanderson still leads. Nogueira down in P4. GB in P5. Dragonflies, who's having an almighty race amongst himself, in P6 with Ray Guri in P7. Meraki, Bushiance and Rasen try and round out your top 10 at the moment, but we are on lap 20 of 25 in race number 2 here of the double down wildcard, and we charge down towards number 4, turn number 14. Team Mardik gets past Devon Butler, as does Alex Gillen. Will Gillen go for a move down the inside of Team Mardik? They're wheel to wheel between Nogueira and GB as well. Both Mercedes powered cars not letting each other have a moment of peace.
And you had to hold your breath as well. Tim McMardock versus Alex Gillen in a crunch moment in the championship, battling for the lead of the race. Alex Gillen not satisfied being sat in second position. I think he wants the lead down to turn number 1, but is just slotting in behind the Papaya McLaren car. It's Ray Guri still on the move up the inside of Dragonflies, who's being shuffled out on the right-hand side.
Question now goes, who is deserving of driver of the day? My personal vote would go Adam Sanderson if he manages to hold on to the position in which he finds himself at the moment. Meraki pips out Dragonflies. Tom pips out Hayden Gullis for P11. Close to the points, down the inside goes GB on Nogueira. They're still wheel to wheel as we make our way through the twists and turns in Vegas. GB trying to hold it around the outside. He'll have a double chance to do so. Round the outside, outside becomes the inside, and GB up towards the podium. But we have a safety car again. Duncan has found the wall in Sector 1.
What do you do now, boys? Do you fancy a set of those soft compound tyres with what I can only imagine is going to be a 2 or 3 lap sprint to the end when the safety car comes in? This is quite the $1 million decision for a lot of these drivers at the front of the field. And Tim McMardock, who will reach the pit lane first, he's not going to be able to react to what everybody else does.
Well, it's time for a gamble in Vegas. A lot of our drivers would have been waiting for a moment like this. Are they going to put it on red? Are they going to put it on black? Where do their chips go? Because Vegas is the land of almighty entertainment. And we are going to go over and have a chat very briefly whilst we go, after these pits in a moment, have a chat with Matt and Tommy and see how their race ended up. Gents, first of all, fantastic to have you both in here. Talk us through how the race went for yourselves.
Do I have to? Because it's probably not something that needs to be reviewed. Ended up in the wall, obviously, standard. But look, it was good fun. I've not really been in the rig much at all, so like to get those competitive juices flowing again and to remind myself what it was like back in the day when I used to league race. It was good fun. It's a shame that I didn't manage to do anything near what maybe I could do at some point, but it was good fun nonetheless. And most of the time, I was just telling Tommy to stop talking.
I mean, it looked from the outside that you were definitely getting stuck in and having some nice battles with a few of your old adversaries.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly was getting overtaken, if I'm being completely honest with you, but I wanted to send something on Ben, but sadly that didn't happen. So yeah, it was chaotic though. I enjoyed it, and look, I created a safety car, which, well, to be fair, we have several safety cars by the looks of things, but I'm glad I could make my mark on this particular round.
It certainly did. Safety cars always cause a little bit of chaos. And Tommy, just from your point of view as well, of course, you've been engineering Matt all the way through the twists and turns of the 2 races and the qualifying. What was it like watching the race from your point of view?
Yeah, it was fun to watch along, and thankfully Vegas has a big long straight that I knew when to talk to Matt, because it's a tricky track, particularly as Matt said that he's not driven around here too much, and there's some very difficult curbs and things to get used to. So, but yeah, it was a fun experience to witness the race, and I think Matt had good lap time, and I know how competitive he is. So he was desperate to kind of get in the mix more, but it's very difficult to kind of have the consistency of these guys that are doing it on the regular.
Are you going to be trying to continue your engineering career post this race?
Not with me, he's not.
I was going to say, Matt ended up in the wall, so probably not.
He needs a driver that actually finishes races.
I think that's probably one question that's on a lot of people's minds as well. Obviously, we love seeing you race and we loved having you here as well. Like, is there a possibility in the future that we see Matty back on the grid as well?
Oh gosh, not full time probably.
No, just as maybe every now and then.
But look, if you guys will have me again in the future and time allows it, then absolutely, because I did enjoy it as much as I didn't deliver. But that in itself has just lit a fire within me to be like, Matt, do better than I think it was a P16 and a DNF. So the lowest bar you could possibly set yourself.
Amazing stuff. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on the show and in the race as well, and always a pleasure to have a chat with you after the race. And albeit commiserations, but we look forward to seeing you come back and try and pip out yourself next time.
Thanks for having us, guys. Cheers.
Guys.
Thank you so much,
guys.
Tim. Well, we have had a round of pit stops to tell you about as well. Safso, Matty, Duncan, 3 drivers in towards the pit lane. I believe Pondon diving in last minute as well for a fresh set of the softs. Everybody else decides to stand on ceremony as we continue through this Grand Prix, but heartbreaking to hear about how Matty's race went. It would have been so nice to see him end up on the podium at the end of the Grand Prix.
Good that it's lit a fire, though. That's the Matt Gallagher that I want to hear.
That is 100% the Matt Gallagher. I want back in the YouTuber Championship days of Matt Gallagher.
Oh, 100%. I think we can all agree that is something we're looking forward to. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well, if time allows, I'm sure we'll see Matt Gallagher back on your screens and racing among some of your favourite creators. But whilst we focus on our drivers on our screens, we have got 2 laps to go in this race race number 2 of this afternoon's endeavours. We've got 7.6 miles to contend with. We'll have DRS for just one of those laps. Live standings on your screens at the moment. And I think, if memory serves me well, this will be enough. If everything finishes as it currently stands, Tiamat Marduk will be champion. Nogueira needs to finish 4th or below. Guri needs to finish 6th or below. And Meraki 7th and below. GB as well out of, P3 or below. This is going to be an incredibly close race end if it all stays the same.
Certainly will not be popping the cork yet, though. 2-lap sprint to the end, and at the moment it is Tiamat Marduk versus Alex Gillen. Can Alex Gillen prolong the title chances of Nogueira and Guri and just give a little nudge to Tiamat Marduk to say, hey, old pal, I'm still very much here and ready to take this away from you next season. Let's see.
Well, our drivers put their foot to the floor, the lights go green, and we go racing once again. 2 laps to go in the F1 Create Series. Bushy Ant's not standing on ceremony. He's up 1 position already. Safso up 2 as he surpasses Pondon and Duncan further back. Guri up past Adam Sanderson, as is Meraki. I think this pays dues to the championship fight. Meraki not letting it go too easily. Of course, DRS not available on this first of the 2 laps as Devon Butler getting his way back past almost immediately the Williams of Meraki, but Tiamat Marduk still from Gillen, from GB as we continue through the first of the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix.
Ben's got a decent buffer, I tell you what, over 7/10 of a second. That'll be alarming to Alex Gillen and to GB as well, who potentially thinks he can still go back-to-back in the Creator Series. He's all over the rear wing of that Kick Sauber car. Can only be a matter of time before GB senses his opportunity and chases after that Papaya McLaren in the lead.
Getting incredibly close. GB can sniff the rear of Alex Gillen's gearbox at the moment. We run down towards turn 14 for the penultimate time on this long back straight. They won't get DRS on this occasion, of course. We run down the sector. Yellow flags further back. Punju has managed to find his, it's just dessert as GB gets over the team radio. I'm getting that second win in a week. It could be back-to-back for GB here as Nogueira's trying to go around the outside. I think they could make it 3 wide, but GB's having to defend from Nogueira whilst trying to attack Alex Gillen at the same time.
That's probably going to kill his hopes of trying to get this race with an attack, turning into defence very quickly. And Guri all over the back of the Mercedes as well, thinking about a move, getting up into 4th place. This will prolong his very slim championship chances if he can continue to make places on the final lap.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly fascinating. Ere Guri now cementing the chance the race will have, well, the championship will at least have to go to Qatar, if not Vegas, if not Abu Dhabi, later in the season. Of course, round 12 being cancelled. We're down to just 2 races after this one at the end. Ere Guri, P4 at the moment, GB P3. But as we approach the long back straight for the final time, Timo Mardik will still lead us through, but he's going to be very susceptible to the likes of Gillen behind him, who will have DRS, who will have battery charged. And as we see Duncan making a mistake, as long with Matty D down in the first sector.
Coming up to the final opportunity, just under 7/10 of a second separating Timo Mardik and Alex Gillen. Has Ben burnt all of his battery, though, on this previous lap to try and bolt away?
That's the question he'll be asking. 6.5 tenths is what separates himself and Alex Gillen further back. I don't think that's going to be enough for distance to prevent the DRS run as we go down towards turn 14. Matty D gets disqualified, follows in Hayden Gullis' footsteps in qualifying, but now we watch with eagerness and awareness as we run down towards turn number 14. Is it going to be Gillen? Is it going to be GB going back to back? Duncan retires in the background as well. DB having the door shut on him by the Australian. Alex Gillen now leads the Grand Prix. We run down towards the final corner. No DRS for anybody. Gillen, who won last time out in Season 7, doubles down in Vegas. He comes round the final corner, and he doesn't. Alex Gillen wins by absolute millimetres, 0.003 of a second. Gillen saved by the bell.
We were 4 wide over the line. Would you believe it? Come on now, 6 plus 3 milliseconds. Can't get the numbers out. 3 milliseconds separating Gillen and GB. He thought he had it won, and then the Aston Martin coming out of absolutely nowhere to pick the pocket of Timo Mardik and pushing him down to third. Ere Guri was in there as well. But it's Alex Gillen who hits the jackpot, and the championship battle will go to Qatar.
It certainly will. Timo Mardik not doing enough, not being able to hold Guri or GB further back. I think this still means GB is in the championship fight out of absolutely nowhere. That race win in Baku has sparked a fire in the man's heart that he will see through the rest of the championship. But 0.003 of a second is what separates the difference between Alex Gillen and Timo Mardik in this Grand Prix. What a run through we'll have, and absolutely incredible stuff on race 2 here in Las Vegas.
We thought last week was close between Alex Gillen and GB. Well, I think this eclipses it. Timo Mardik finishing on the podium. He extends his lead over Ere Guri, but doesn't pick up that second championship. We were hoping for a grandstand finish in the Sin City, and we certainly got it. 4 wide over the line. The top 4 covered by just under 1.5
Yep, absolutely fascinating. Gillen, GB and Timo Mardik are your podium sitters here this afternoon. Ere Guri picks up the fastest lap as well, with Meraki Nogueira, Tom, Adam Sanderson, Razin Chai and Dragonflies being your top 10. Safso Pondon, Hayden Gullis, Bushy Ants, Dark Viper, Punju, Duncan and Matty, I believe, are your race finish. No, Matty not being classified, unfortunately. So Matty, Mr. Dale and Matty will be both your DNFs and your DSQs here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Absolutely insane. We thought Las Vegas was going to deliver something special, especially when we had a couple of races in one night. I think that has overcome everything we thought it would have been. The closest ever finish between 4 drivers in the Creator Series. The first race was absolute carnage as well. Plethora of safety cars, plethora of battles. Incredible.
Yeah, I have no words to describe what happened. If that battle was anything to describe how close GB and Alex are going to be over the next few races, who knows? You might head to Abu Dhabi and they'll finish with exactly the same race time. Who knows what happens in that race situation? I'm not much of a... Well, I haven't read back that far in the rule book, unfortunately, so we'll wait and see what happens. But I think it is probably about time to have a chat to a few of our drivers, and who better than to start with our race winner, Alex Gillen. Let's get him in for a chat. Alex, fantastic race win today. 0.003 of a second just ahead of GB. That must mean the world to you, getting that first race win this season.
Oh, do you know what? Just today I put a board behind me that says days since last Creator Series win, 105 days. That's exactly how long it's been. So I'll take it. Bit, as it always is, I suppose, bit conscientious at the end there. I don't know. I was just about to go and review it, actually, before I got dragged in here to see if I left Ben the car's width. I obviously squeezed him out to the wall there on the end, made him take the longest way around I possibly could. I'm hoping I just about left a car's width. I'll have to review it in a second. I don't know if you guys had a better view of it, but 3,000s to me and GB, with me and Ben running each other wide. GB almost snuck on the inside, but not quite. That was crazy at the end there. Crazy. What a race.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you had El Rey Guri in there as well, the top 4 covered by a 10th.5. What were the tactics going on to the final lap? Because it looked like Ben was desperate to get away from you, dumping the battery. Were you confident that you were going to get it back on that last lap?
Yeah, I mean, DRS is king come onto the last straight. I said at the time, Ben is not going to accept leading onto that last straight. He's not going to accept it. He'll want me to overtake. He'll be turning off the battery. He'll be potentially, just trying to get out. Get out of, jump out of my way and sort of hit the brakes, whatever. Because DRS, as you saw, is so powerful on this track. But my tactic then was to drop back from him. Stop him doing that. His only other tactic then would have been to drop back with me. So I kind of prayed that he wouldn't do that. I just dropped, what you saw me maybe 6-7 tenths back, so he couldn't play any last-minute games and I just sort of took the power out of his hands a little bit. Also allowed me to keep the cars behind because they couldn't really attack me because I wasn't lifting in the straights like I'd have had to if Ben was lifting in the straights as well. So I think the tactic worked, but yeah, as I said, it all came down to that run to the line. Both those guys saved more battery than me, but my only choice was to go for it there, and it just I mean, I think, is 3,000s even just? Is there a smaller word than just for 3,000ths of a second? But it just about worked out. Oh my god, that was close.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Of course, you've actually managed to triple your podiums this season just in these 2 races alone. Of course, one prior to this out in Baku and then double podium for both races in Vegas. That must be a nice sort of concurrent end to the season. Are you looking to finish it off as strong in Qatar and Abu Dhabi as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said in the previous one, I think I've won a race every single season in Creator Series, so my intention was to keep that streak up. That's why I've got the board behind me to pressure me, but I can finally change that to a 0 now. We just keep going, really. I think I felt like I've had a really good season up to now. I know not everyone agrees with that, but I really feel like I've been driving well. But I do feel like in Baku, I feel like I just found something. I feel like I just very, very slightly changed my mentality towards driving, towards overtaking, towards the field. And it seems to be working. Like you say, 3 podiums in a row in Creator Series. Clearly something's going right. I'll take it.
Very much so. Well, massive congratulations once again. Such a photo finish at the end there. And of course, looking to go strong into Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Wish you the absolute best of luck. And congratulations once again.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
Thank you so much, Alex. Well, we'll finish strong. Go in order, I think is probably the best way to approach these interviews. We'll get GB in nice next. Make sure to get what...
In a way, you have to believe that you're the best driver out there. That's the only way that you get to the top.
How does it feel for you to have a livery in-game? People are going to be able to play.
It can be really personal, right? And pay attention to detail. And yeah, it's really cool that people can drive cars that are not just the standard liveries of the team or whatever,
Right.
and relate a little bit more as a person to a certain livery.
I have these lines that are called polymorphs. They represent life and existence and vibration. I'm really excited to tell your story and integrate it into my style.
I guess it's important to choose the base color.
Of course, I'd love to hear colors that you
My
vibrate
favorite
with.
color is blue.
Okay, so like a navy, something like that. I love that.
Just to be the best, I had to go
The stripes as well is quite cool.
Definitely a lot of racing stripes.
If they had a doubt, they gon' see what
I quite like this in the back as well, because I like to have a triangle.
A few clinical overtakes on one of the safety car restarts. I think initially I did gain a few positions. I think it was the final safety car restart where we obviously had the guys that had used mediums in front, and that was really do or die. It was overtake them quickly and efficiently, don't use too much battery, and understand they've got less wear. So yeah, in terms of cutting through the pack, I think I didn't doubt that for a second, but it was a little bit sketchy because obviously you got to make the right moves, like I said, without using the battery that then cost you on the straight. So yeah, it was good. I'm pretty happy with the drives today, no complaints. So. Yeah,
it was a good race, all things considered. Of course, you've gone from Baku last time out, getting the race win, double podium here this time out. It's looking like strong form into the back half of the last 2 races of the season as well. I think, if memory serves me correctly, you are in with a championship fight.
I hate to spoil the party, but myself, Ben, and Alex are away for Abu Dhabi for the final race. So all three of us, it's our final race next week. Obviously, Ben can win the title for sure. For myself, to be honest, I don't know. Do you guys have the constructor standings? Do you know where Aston are at the moment?
It's very close.
Ooh, wow, yeah. So there we go. So Vince is coming back next week as well. GG's to Adam today because he scored really good points, to be honest. From my side, guys, obviously I want to get another win. That's a priority, but I'd like to win the Constructors because it'll be, considering how many races myself and Vince have missed, it'll be a pretty successful season if that somehow happens. So yeah, that's the aim, is maximum points next week, try and get the Constructors, and hopefully whoever my reserve is in Abu Dhabi can cook.
Amazing. Well, I'm sure we'll pass on the message to your reservists out in Abu Dhabi, and we look forward to seeing your last race next time out in Qatar, and hope you have a good time out whatever you're doing instead of Abu
Cheers,
Dhabi.
guys. Yeah, I look forward to it. Appreciate it. See you next week.
Cheers, GB. See you next week. Well, I think that kind of sums up a little bit of the championship. So Ben's got an almighty party to do next time out if he wants to hold El Guri at bay.
Yeah, he's going to be doing the maths. I think we were potentially getting an interview from Ben, but maybe not anymore. But
He realised how low his championship chances are and doesn't want to talk to us anymore.
He's definitely still in the box seat. You can't say anything else. And going into Qatar, a race that he's been pretty decent in the past, we have to say as well. I think he'll be fancying his chances of getting it done.
I think he will be. He's got the opportunity. The points that he needs to get over El Guri are so slim. I think as long as he outscores by a couple of points, he's looking favourable heading into Abu Dhabi. And of course, even if he doesn't outscore El Guri, that's reliant on the Red Bull getting the race win out in Abu Dhabi as well. So there are a lot of factors still at play.
Look at that battle for second, by the way. 4 drivers separated by 6 points. That's going to get very spicy as well.
And of course, Meraki and Alex Gillen tied on points, 131 apiece.
100%, yeah. Nogueira, not that far away, didn't have an optimal weekend this time around. Was third at the start of the weekend, now 6th, but still only 18 points off the back of El Guri. He could reverse that in one race if the reigning champ does have a little bit of a stinker.
I think he does. It's going to be an interesting final end to this season. Season 8 has given us chaos, it's given us drama, and it has going to take that right down to the wire. McLaren still top. Our team standings 201 points to their name. Aston Martin just 9 points behind, as we heard from GB just a mere moment ago. They've got a good chance heading in to Qatar next week. Williams, Mercedes and Sauber, your top 5 at the moment. It's incredibly close all amongst the field. I think these new rules, the new regulations heading into the season have really promoted a close field of racing.
Yeah, and you can see that by the constructors, and I'm surprised how much the constructors mean to GB. I wasn't expecting people to take it, that seriously, but to be only 9 points behind McLaren, he fancies his chances of potentially getting a championship. Maybe not the drivers, that's almost impossible for him, but if he can get the constructors, I think he'll be delighted.
I think he certainly will be. It's been a fantastic season for him, especially if obviously they're missing the final round. Constructors will be a nice little send-off for them heading into the next season, which I'm sure we'll see after the Christmas break. So it doesn't look like we're going to get an interview from Tiamat Marduk. It doesn't look like we're going to get a chat with him. So just before we do our usual sign-off, if you do enjoy what you saw here this afternoon, you thought the racing looked fun on F1 24, just a reminder, it is free to play this weekend, whether that's on PC or console, and of course you can pick it up for 60% off as well. That is both the Champions Edition and the Standard Edition. You can check them both out, whether that be on your PC, your console, Steam, or the EA Play app. I believe they're all discounted on there over the weekend. And you can enjoy all the new stuff that comes with Season 4, including Max Verstappen's Champions livery.
100%, yeah. Test your ability against the real-life F1 drivers and our Creator Series legends as well.
Amazing stuff. Well, if you want to check out any of the Creator Series socials, which you definitely should do, they are all above our heads. YouTube, Instagram, X or Twitter, and TikTok as well. All of them at F1 Creator Series. If you've been watching on the EA Sports F1 YouTube channel, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and we hope you enjoyed the racing as well. Do come over. We're live every Friday, Saturday and Monday for F2, F1 and WRC as well. And I can tell you they are a whole host of laughs. Do come get involved. I'm sure you'll love it. As my lovely assistant and lovely commentator alongside me, Tom Wilkinson, where can they check you out if they want to do so just a little bit more?
If you head over to TikTok, wilco.darts on there. If you wanted to check out what I'm doing over there, would be very much appreciated.
Lovely stuff. If you want to check out the man behind the production this afternoon, Gareth Allen TV, on all of the usual social media governs. He always tells me not to shout him out, but I'm going to shout him out anyway, because that's how we do things around here. As for myself, they call me TK on pretty much every single social media. But for now, until we see you next time out, that is on Monday for Japan WRC, or for F2 or F1 next Friday and Saturday, it is good night and God bless.
It's probably one of the most iconic corners in F1. A track of kind of two halves. It's a very cool circuit. So we've got a lap of Austin. Here's turn one. It's probably one of the most iconic corners in F1. Massive uphill braking zone. Got no idea where the apex of the corner is. Bit of a theme around Austin. A very cool corner, really good for overtaking because you can brake super late, and a very tight apex, so you've got to brake pretty hard. A very cool circuit. A lot of quick corners to start the lap, a lot of slow corners at the end of it. It's cool, and the barbecue makes Austin a pretty cool place as well. Coming into this section, this is probably the favourite part of the track. Very similar to Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone. Very, very close to flat out the whole way through. You've got to be very precise. This section here going up the hill, you've always got to go a little bit slower than you kind of think because your tyres are on fire. And this left-hander here, if I stop here, you can't actually see where the exit of the corner is. So this is a very tough corner to get right. A nice big sausage curve on the apex as well to keep you entertained. This last part of the track is honestly very, very technical. A really long right-hander. You feel like you're always trying to get to full throttle and you never can. And then this one, again, you kind of never stop turning. And F1 cars or race cars don't really like to brake and turn at the same time. So it's a pretty difficult part of the track where you can really gain or lose a lot of time. A track of kind of two halves, very fast at the start, very slow and technical. I have no idea what a fast lap around Austin is. Why don't we find out? Pole position last year, a 1:34.7. I reckon I can do it. Beat my time around Austin and unlock the Google Chrome 2.0 livery in-game. Open the lap nicely. DRS on the front straight. So turn one, pretty iconic, massively uphill to a very tight hairpin. Getting traction out of here is really important. You've got a pretty long run. And this section, I have to concentrate, but very fast. You want to try and get the first one right, because if you don't get that right, then the whole sequence is going to be pretty tough. And then it just keeps going. It gets slower and slower eventually. This one over the top of the hill, very easy to do track limits. This hairpin onto the back straight, very tight and a very important exit because it's the longest straight on the track. Now we can relax for a few seconds, look at the Ferris wheel, look at the big tower. And then braking at kind of 100, another big hairpin. And then this part of the track is really tough and slow. So this is a really long right-hander, very tough to get on the throttle. This one, you kind of just have to guess where you need to brake, and a very tight left-hander. A quick right-hander, which in the race is almost flat out, and in qualifying is flat out pretty comfortably. And then another pretty blind left-hand corner, you can't really see where the apex is. Don't do track limits again. And then last corner, and that's a lap of Austin. There you go, a 1:34.5 on the dot. I'm pretty happy with that, but I reckon you guys can beat it. So go get your livery.